natural level, and it forms 70% of the planet. So therefore, there's more than enough to question the presupposition.
Did you say it forms 70% of the planet?
Well, it.
You know what he meant. Let's be fair.
They say that 70% of the planet is water.
No,
Hey, you want to know why your water conforms to your surface flat?
Well, the question then becomes: is at what volume?
It's a natural property of water to find and maintain its level.
Okay, but at what volume? What volume?
So to scratch. So to try and do a victory lap about flat Earth being some crazy idea that's been disproved thousands and thousands of years ago, the fact that water still finds and maintains its level would disagree with that statement.
Again, I'll ask the question again. At what volume does water become flat?
At very small volumes, like in a cup, in a thimble.
What's my question? At what volume does it become flat?
Water lies flat because it's fucking lighter than air.
What are you talking about?
What the? Don't start screaming like that.
Herman, ask your question again. Herman.
At what volume does water become flat?
What relevance does this have? Is bodies of water flat on the surface?
I've never seen any measurements showing as such.
We've never seen measurements that it's curving either.
Yeah, on the surface. Do you know why?
Why?
Have you ever built a swimming pool? Have you ever built it not perfectly level and noticed how the water would show up on your mosaic very, very prominently?
Okay, you're overlooking the fact. Yeah, you're overlooking the fact I said measured.
Well, it's natural. It's obvious.
What do they mean,
the Egyptian water level.
Solar. When they say measured, what do they mean by measured flat? What are they looking for? What do they mean?
Don't worry, I don't expect an answer.
No, I'm asking Solar what he thinks you mean by measured flat.
I'd like to make a point, if I may.
Sure.
And that is that.
Because I don't know what he means, Solar, when he says measured flat. I mean, what is the number? What is the measurement he's looking for?
Was someone talking? I'm sorry if I overspoke someone.
So, Kim, are you done?
Yeah, I've just seen if Solar...
Solar, just because you assert that water is flat or lies flat or however you phrased it, you know that doesn't make it so. No matter how many times you say it's obvious or observable, it isn't necessarily the case. And moreover, hold on. And moreover, we have a model with which explains things like the swimming pool example you just gave, and that is that gravity conforms to the forces present. One of those forces is the gravity vector, and so it conforms to the gravity vector.
So if water was convex the way that you guys assume it to be, we wouldn't need locks between different water altitudes to raise and lower ships in different bodies of water
in the canal,
because they're always flat in the canal.
Why wouldn't we?
A lock,
that's ridiculous.
and then using a lock,
why wouldn't
the next body of water is flat again.
Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we need that
lock? And then
a lock
could be convex. A lock, because the water would just be bendy and curvy, and it would just wrap around the way that you guys believe it does.
So the locks at the Panama Canal, that raise you up to the level of the landmass of Panama, which that's basically what happens, and then back down again. You're saying that if the Earth was spherical, that would just happen automatically. Ships would just be able to go up in altitude automatically. How?
You wouldn't need locks on a
Why would you need to go up in altitude if you had bendy water that just wrapped around your sphere?
Because there is a mass of land rising above that water, and on that land there is a river system that is a useful way to carry ships. So if you build a canal that connects into that river system, and then another bit of canal at the other end, you don't have to build a huge canal in the middle to get you through it all, do you? Use the existing river system. But that's what happens at Panama. You've got 3 locks that raise you up to the level of the land. Then you travel along that at that level, and then 3 locks that that drop you down again at the other end to sea level.
All right,
but you're saying
perfectly my
you're
point.
saying
Perfectly
okay.
my point.
Let me respond,
how is it
Solar.
your point? Hang on, let me finish. You're saying that if the Earth was spherical, ships would just go up onto the land automatically with no need for a lock. Why?
Because you just said
Why would you think that?
You just said
all bodies of water are flat on their surface, and that is why we need locks.
You just said, Jem,
raise
each
the
level.
ship.
Right.
You just said, Jem, each
Simple.
level, yeah, it shuts
Yeah.
off. So
And
that
yet there's no
level,
measurements.
that
You have to see
straight
any
is not
measurements.
curving,
All
is
bodies
it?
of water being flat.
It's completely
It's the
horizontal.
Earth, but you realise what is happening. The whole ship is being raised in altitude, so it's no longer at sea level; it's above sea level. And you're saying,
And perfectly horizontal.
okay.
Water
Okay,
that
I'm
rests
still
upon.
talking. And you're saying that if the Earth was spherical, ships would leave sea level automatically. Why are you saying that idiotic shit?
I'm not. You are.
That's what you've
I'm
just
saying-
said. You've said
No,
if the
it's
Earth was
what
a
you
globe,
put
you
into
said
my
if the
mouth.
Earth was a globe, we wouldn't need locks. Locks, the purpose of locks is to raise the level of a vessel, to change its altitude in relation to sea level. You're saying that if the Earth was spherical, that would happen without locks. That's ridiculous and retarded. And I'm making dinner.
Okay, and you believe that water flows up the bulge over the equator. You get rivers flowing north, south, east, west, over any sort of land masses and any kind of bulge. So you guys are the ones who believe that water can do crazy things like that. What I was simply elucidating
I don't believe
You're
water has any
mischaracterizing
ability.
it.
the
You're mischaracterizing
surface,
it.
the surface of water is always you either
Just speaking for myself, I don't believe water has any abilities. It just reacts to whatever forces or influences are placed upon it.
sea level.
No, water
Can-
is sea level. There's no
Can
way
you
to-
guys see level? Can you see the level?
No.
No, you can't. That's beyond the human precision. That's why we build tools for that.
So the point is
And
that
even
anytime you're moving on a
even the
flat
tools-
surface of
even
water,
the tools that we build have error margins.
if water was convex and wrapped around the outside of a bulged ball,
Yes.
you wouldn't need the locks in the way that flat water
Okay. Yeah, we heard that.
and raising the flat water up from sea level
Yeah, you said
to
that
other
before.
altitudes
But why?
would require it.
Why?
It's just common sense.
No, that's a reification fallacy. Why would that have to occur that way?
The natural property of water
Stop.
to find and maintain a level.
Do you understand you're actually not answering the question? Why would it operate differently?
I'm not saying it's operating differently.
Stop.
If you guys,
stop,
you're
stop.
not
I will
listening
not-
to
yes,
my
you are.
concise
Yes, you are.
point.
You're saying it has to operate in a different way on a sphere.
Yeah,
But you're not saying why.
each lock would be at an angle, and
Can you please answer that question?
They wouldn't be completely horizontal. They would be at an angle. That's why it'd be different. And obviously, when it raises up, it keeps that body of water perfectly flat and horizontal. It's level, like Jem just said. It's level, not curving between one end and the other. It's holding that body of water level, and that wouldn't work on a ball. Good point, Sword. I might make a video on this, actually.
How do you just conjecture that it's going to be perfectly flat and horizontal?
Between the two locks. So you're saying that if you shorten the locks, make it shorter and shorter, wider and wider, you're saying there's curvature between the two. No.
I'm asking you explicitly, how do you conjecture that it will be perfectly flat and horizontal?
If at complete rest and there are no outside forces being applied to that body of water, over a period of time, it will eventually find its equilibrium point, and then it will form a flat surface, and we call that the specular reflection. So when you start to see a mirror-like image on water, You know that it is truly flat because if it was a distorted mirror, it would distort the image. So not only that, but when you build anything that's going to store water or store any kind of liquid, the making it horizontal and level is of utmost importance. And even in construction over large distances, if you're using a laser, the laser beam can diverge, which means it can expand bigger than the precise millimeter measurements that you want to take. So they use water levels, which is a long pipe with water in it. And when raised up on either side, wherever the meniscus falls inside the pipe is down to about a millimeter's tolerance of level. And when you build it and throw water into it, the water will also fill that area precisely because you used water as your base for defining level.
What a load of shit.
Why?
No, that was actually very accurate that he admitted that it's within a millimeter of precision and that the observation of a mirrored surface is the actual tolerances used, which negates their previous conjecture claiming that it's perfectly flat and level to actually build upon as the foundation for their actual conclusion.
What did you just say?
Well, the problem with what he's saying is
We're bringing up natural laws.
Oh,
These are
Solar, someone
natural
else was
physics and
talking,
natural
mate.
laws.
Hold your horses.
The problem with what
Sorry.
he's saying is he brings up there would be this amount, but he never does the math for his mathematical arguments. That's the problem he does. Like he brings up specular reflection on curved surfaces. He doesn't bother exploring, well, how much of distortion would there actually be? That doesn't matter because that would work against him. This is a very common thing you'll notice among flat earthers. They just go, this effect exists. They don't care how much it exists. And that's a huge problem for them.
Yeah, so it was quite comical that he admitted the actual variances in it, but just glossed over and continued to build a false conclusion on this ridiculous requirement of perfectly flat and level. So thank you for being entertaining. I appreciate that.
Look at the security mirror that I posted. There's barely any distortion. And that has much more curve than the Earth would. And your picture, how much water is that? Is that less than a mile?
You mean barely any distortion,
Yes.
but it is still distorted.
Right,
You can
but
see.
drastically more so than the planet Earth. Now look at the picture you posted. Do you know how much water is there in that picture? Because I don't know offhand.
A significantly larger surface area than your tiny mirror, showing a tiny bit of refraction.
Right, that doesn't work in your favor. But how much? Like from where that picture is to the shoreline, how much water is there? Do you know?
What elevation or?
Well, how big is that mirror?
Prove to me that water can be convex.
What's the dimension of that mirror?
Just show me
Termin?
anywhere.
Water drops. Next.
In lying flat, when undisturbed,
Well, that's
in
your
large bodies.
That's your claim. I have yet to see any measurement of water being flat.
I'm asking for water in a stationary,
so am
not
I.
a falling raindrop.
We both are. I'm asking for what measured. Not this silly, it looks like this. No, that's highly inaccurate. And as such,
They call it sea level, but you guys can't see level.
Because
So
actually,
this is the
an
problem.
abbreviation. The proper term is mean sea level. It's got nothing.
Which is an average because we have tides. Agreed.
Height. It's an average height. It's got nothing to
Which
do
is
with
taken as the base of 0 from which all our other altitudes are taken.
Actually, you've got a problem because it's region deficient as well. You understand that, right?
That's true.
Sea level.
Mean sea level.
The mean sea level in Australia is not the same as
average.
it is in the US. So there's a problem.
You can't have have average flat. That makes no sense. You can have average height or altitude. That makes sense.
Okay, no, I'll agree with that.
Now, again, on your picture, how much water is there? That distance. And how much distortion
Well,
would you expect over that curve?
you'd
No,
expect to see something.
No, that's irrelevant. You've never even, you got to figure it out. Well, what, in any sort of proper detailed examination, you got to think, well, what do I expect to see? And that's what you measure for. So what I'm trying to explain to you is this is what all flat earthers do. There should be a curve, therefore I don't see it, therefore it's not there. That is highly illogical. It's actually, I'll go beyond logical. It's lazy is what it is.
If you'll just look at the video or the picture that I just posted now, this is the ludicrousy of this entire concept, because the fact that things also shrink in the distance means that a relatively small distance left to right can actually be 40, 50 miles. It depends on, like you say, the mathematics and the angle from where you're observing and the distance to where you're observing whatever landmarks or whatever demarcations that you want to use.
But that works.
But if you're looking out at the ocean and you're looking at a progressively larger and larger chunk of the ocean, and you can see sometimes from a bay to another bay, which is a known distance, sometimes 60 miles, 70 miles, and you see, like this picture I've just shown, if you hold something flat against it, hold a ruler or a piece of paper or anything against the actual horizon at the beach, and you will see that that water is perfectly, almost precisely flat along the edge of that flat thing.
Sorry,
unless you've used a GoPro lens.
Almost what? Almost precisely flat?
Well, hold it there as precisely as you possibly can. And that the error of margin will probably come in with the human and their ability to hold it against that
That's
flat line.
Right. You're doing nothing to account for that. And you even said
and
when you're
call that
looking
60,
for a way,
70,
you understand?
If it was
You said
60, 70 miles, you'd be looking for something like 10,000 feet of drop. So
You wouldn't
where
be,
is that?
where would you be
apparent
looking at
curve?
70 miles like that? Where would this happen? Are you talking about from an aircraft?
In a bay, no, from somewhere along a coastline where you can find two areas.
So you think from left to right, you're saying, it would be possible to see 70 miles across left to right from sea level?
Yes. Potentially across the, like in the Mediterranean areas and various other places.
I don't think that's true. Have you any evidence that that's true? That sounds like nonsense.
So I'm saying if you're standing, you're looking at that 70 miles, you're looking at it side on. So you're potentially
I know. I don't think
I
don't think that's even remotely possible. Not from anywhere close to sea level. It's if you're at 6 feet above sea level, the horizon is 3 miles away, right? More or less. That puts you
it's evidently not. The Black Swan proved that.
No, it didn't.
It's not at 3 miles.
Yes,
and that was at a 1 foot observer height.
Okay,
that you could see those oil rigs.
Just all we want for this, for the
beyond
purpose of
10 miles.
right? But this isn't an argument about the Black Swan. All we want for the purposes of this is some idea of the distance we see. So make it whatever, pick a distance. But you're not saying that the Black Swan demonstrates that we can see 70 miles at sea level, are you?
I am saying that the Black Swan proves that we can't go off of your immediate assumption that the horizon is
exactly, which is why I've just said to you, put a number on it, but we're not saying it's 70, are we?
So I've stood at one of the bays in Cape Town at 60 kilometers, so I think that's about 40 miles, and I could see the coastline, and I took photos
at 6
of
feet.
The actual shoreline
at 6 feet.
at my observer height, which was 6 feet, correct?
Yeah. But let's see your
so
photos.
that
then.
was.
Let's see those photos then.
Oh, they're on my PC. And
What? How
I'll
convenient.
bring them next time. I'll bring them next time.
Yeah, I think you're full of shit. I think you're absolutely full of shit. There's no way you're seeing sea level 40 miles away. You're just not. That's a lie. You're lying.
The beauty of this is that each one of us can test for ourselves. Everyone lives near something or some kind of landmark. You could go to one part of the city where you see another.
It's well tested. It's very, very well tested. Many, many thousands of people have tested it, and they would all say, that your claim is bollocks, complete bullshit.
If they do it themselves,
it's just a grown man. It's a grown man in front of a load of other grown men lying, bullshitting them, and hoping he'll get away with it.
Not true. It's usually one man standing by himself, proving this to himself. After he's gone and actually worked out what the globe assumption.
You do to identify that you were seeing shoreline or whatever it was at your target. How did you determine that?
By the yellow beach sand, which you could evidently see through the camera.
Right. I'd love to see this picture. You're saying you could see a beach from a beach 40 miles away.
Correct.
Okay, I will bet you £1,000 that we do not see a photograph that demonstrates that. You want to take that bet?
How much?
£1,000.
Yeah, I'll take that bet.
Let's do it. I'll wait to see your photos. They're worth £1,000 to you now.
Shouldn't we put the money in escrow?
The beauty of this is that each one of us can do this ourselves. Just pick some place near you, pick an observation point, pick a landmark that would be a predetermined distance from that area.
He's told us he was at 6 feet. He said he was at 6 feet. That was your elevation, right?
Yeah. Well, I was on the beach, so there's probably a couple more feet down to the water level.
Right,
if I'm being precise. But
hey, Jem,
and
I've got a photo of the Great Australian Bight where the furthest I can see is about 25 kilometres to the other end. I'm at 30 feet above sea level.
How am I going to lose, Chris? He's saying he can see a beach 40 miles away from a beach.
I'm just fucking with Kimo with the exceedingly thing. I'm just fucking with him.
And he can't. He knows he can't. It's bullshit. He's bullshitting. I've given him the incentive, haven't I? So we'll see if we ever see these photographs. I bet we don't.
I was just checking the distances. I'm going to post a picture now of what I was actually seeing from where to where. And then I'll bring back those photos because I'd enjoy £1,000. But you can see all the way to the tip, the very tip of the Cape Peninsula. So it's like I say, if you guys just have eyes and you have a landmark near you, you can go and do these tests yourself. And that's the beauty of flat Earth, is that you can actually prove it's flat. You can't prove it's a globe. Not by yourself, not individually, without holding on to these things.
Jesus
Well,
Christ.
my
Did you see along
eyesight.
the road? You're using a road distance, a driving distance.
Jesus Christ, he's using a screenshot of fucking GPS.
Yeah, and I'm saying you can see all the way to the Cape Peninsula, all the way to the tip.
Is there anything there to verify that that's actually what you're looking to? And then we can get the straight line distance.
Heard a little stutter in the voice in the response.
How far did he claim for the bet?
40 miles.
It's 40? I thought it was 70 miles he was claiming.
Yeah,
He said he could see it.
almost 70 kilometers by road.
It's
said he
right
could see-
along the beach.
He said he could see 70 miles of horizon from one side to the other. But he said it was about 40 miles to it.
So, for example, looking from the tip of the Cape Peninsula back to the mainland, I'm talking about those kind of distances. It's very simple to stand on the beach and look to the one side and see where the land is, and then look to the other side and see where the land is. And that can sometimes be 40 miles or 50 miles.
It's only about
or even up
miles.
to 70.
No, it's only about 20 miles. You're making shit up. It might
Okay,
be
well,
40 miles
we can
driving
check
distance,
this.
but it's absolutely not 40 miles fucking point to point. Straight line distance.
There's the distance if anybody's interested.
Look who it is. Rocket Boy.
I'd also be interested to see what's the elevation on
and
that
to the
peninsula.
So yeah, about 20 miles along that line.
And there's much larger bays that this can be tested at. When they saw,
Here you go. Here
what
goes
was
the
it, Chicago from
largest
60
bay in the
miles?
world.
Is there a picture that goes with this, or what?
There's a picture of the Great Australian Bight. And you can see my elevation from sea level.
So, Rocket, you said that's 20 miles straight across.
Yeah, so that distance is 21 miles just from coast to I just took it from the coast to coast distance of the locations they put.
So how's this picture going to win you the bet when you're about half the distance you claimed?
Is there a picture?
It's on
allegedly on his computer. It's with his girlfriend in Canada. He'll have it for us at some point.
She goes to a different school, man. You wouldn't know it.
Yeah, it is on my laptop, and I'm on my phone at the moment. So, but I'll bring it back to you guys. You know, even just the distance. Okay, look, I'll agree that yes, the straight line distance is different, and I wasn't using that for my basis. But when you look at the total height of the peninsula as well, and you factor in the curve and what you should see, this peninsula should be hidden. And you're actually seeing the coastline and you're seeing the rocks jutting all the way out to the tip. So it's quite a good observation. And maybe whoever took that one, if you can also do the one down to the tip, just for interest's sake, because then I can use that for my measurements.
The tip to the, what, Strand Beach?
Yeah, from that picture of where it goes from Strand to that Simon's Town. That one that was 34.39 kilometers.
That's pretty.
and then I'll build a little presentation and I'll bring it to you guys.
You want it from like Cape Point to Strand?
Right to the tip. So from that strand all the way to the Cape Peninsula tip.
That's about 25 miles. 25 miles.
How do you know you were seeing the tip?
Well, you see it jut all the way out. So from the photo, it's the furthest part that you can see.
How do you know that's what you're seeing? Is the question. How do you know when you're...
It's very noticeable. It's very noticeable.
That's not good enough, man. Let's see. Do street view here.
Hang on, did he just say it's noticeable?
That's what
I didn't know that was a. I didn't know that was a scientific explanation.
Let's see. Oh, geez. I mean, is that like a cliff there? I mean, at the Strand or the peninsula, is that like cliffs? That's what it appears to be. I mean,
He's claiming that he saw beach sand, like right at the water.
What? That looks like an elevated landmass.
Oh, there's definitely like cliffs right next to it. Like, how would you? It's really hard to tell. Like, how would you know what you're seeing?
Oh, it's observable, bro. You can notice
you notice it.
It's a very noticeable criteria. Come on, that doesn't state your accuracy.
Also, that's only like a third of a. Yeah. That's a third of a degree. Was it 1 degree, 69 miles, and that's what, 24? Yeah. Yeah. Pyro, you got it there, bro. Just the tip.
Yeah, that's the height of the tip.
Yeah, just the tip. That's all she needs.
Here's the Google Street View from looking in that direction, trying to look at Strand from the peninsula. You can't see shit.
Okay, so I found some of the pictures that I took on my phone.
Okay. That picture shows the cliffs that are right next to you.
That's effectively the left side of Strand.
Yep.
So it's the part of the picture where it juts on the right hand side. So it's not the peninsula side.
Hang on.
Yeah, I don't
Why can't we see the bottom of those buildings?
So then that next one is the picture of, if you're looking towards the right hand side and you're following the land around, you'll see the mountains on the other side of the sea. But these are not the zoomed in pictures.
Yeah, but quick
But
question,
then
mate. Quick question. Why is it the
the
building at
bot
the
will probably
end
stop
looks
me
to
now.
be? Yeah, hang on. No, this is a perspective thing that you're going to have to answer. Why is the building at the end almost the same height as the valley in between those two mountains? Yet the building to the left is taller than it, like at the front of the picture. That's crazy.
So search showed me when I was checking the distance from Fishhook to Strand, it was saying 52 kilometers or 32 miles. So when you do 32 miles in the curvature calculator,
I mean, we
That's
see
driving
mountains. We're
distance.
seeing mountains. That doesn't fucking prove anything. What the fuck?
okay, so this, you'll see the point now as well. This was another nail in the coffin.
Hang on. No,
But
not that
effectively,
calculator, mate.
Wait.
the hidden height should
that
be
calculator.
572. Okay, we'll do it in your
Is that taking
calculator,
into
whichever
account
one you want to
refraction?
do.
No, it's not Walter Bisland's.
You need to
That's
take into
driving
account
distance.
refraction, or it's all bullshit.
Okay, so take in 32 miles and
That's-
do it on whichever calculator you want.
That's
Why
driving
32
distance.
miles?
Where's your? But hang on. Where's the height of the object?
That's also driving distance.
The Cape Peninsula, the elevation is only 159 meters at those highest mountains which you see across the water, which is equal to 522 feet.
How did you measure the distance to this location?
From this distance between.com. So it was
And that was
Fishhook,
Oh,
Cape Town
Jesus
to Strand.
Christ!
So-
it's not as a crow flies.
That's a fucking TripAdvisor.
It's again driving distance, not boat
Right,
distance.
right.
Well, it talks about nautical miles in. Okay,
I
but I
can't-
do
that
see it
doesn't
says
mean
driving
anything.
distance. So.
Nautical miles doesn't mean that it's a straight line distance, dude.
Okay, so if you look at the photos that I've posted, you'll not only see the highest mountains, but you'll also see the smallest mountains, and you'll see
No,
the
no, no,
peninsula
you don't have a
jutting
distance.
out.
You don't have a
Hang on.
distance to the location.
We do
Yeah, get
from
back to
one of the other
my
guys.
question. Get back to my question about the building heights and the fact that the mountains are almost at the same height as the buildings at the end of the fucking beach.
Yeah, it's perspective. So the same way that if I put my
but
thumb over my eyeball,
thank you very much. Because the building on the left-hand side of that photo, nearest to you, is taller than the mountains. So your perspective thing's fucking wrong.
yeah, because I'm standing on a fucking beach, like less than a
Yeah,
kilometer away
it's a
from this
static
building.
image. It's a
Yes.
static image. You're not moving.
But I'm standing
Everything's
closer to
there.
the building and further away from
No,
the
no, no,
mountain.
no.
So
no,
therefore, it's
no.
perfectly
See,
fine in
you're
perspective.
moving. No.
And if you
Sadly,
look,
I'm
it's a
sorry, you're
really
wrong.
tall building. No, if you
Chuck,
look, it's a
one
really
time.
tall building with a lot of floors compared to the other buildings, which are probably half as high. So
Well,
it
they're
is
not
a
half as
really
high.
large building at the end. The ones to the immediate left of it get shorter and shorter. So the point that you're trying to say is why the building at the end is the tallest. Well, it's got more floors, and I'm closer to it.
You don't
The same
know
way that
that.
when I'm standing at a light pole and I'm looking up, a light pole can appear to be taller than a mountain in the distance. But as soon as I start going
willing
further
this
away,
to be working, and it's not, mate.
no, there's not. Well, this photo was just a positioning to show you Strand Beach with the mountains on the left,
Yeah,
and then
but
the next ones were
that picture
the
debunks
actual
you.
observation pictures. It doesn't.
That doesn't matter whether you've got this picture or the next set of pictures, mate. I can look at this through my years of fucking engineering and see that you are wrong.
There's the proof. Jem, you wanted some pictures. Okay, I'll still get the ones of the coastline, but effectively here, if you measure it at say 25 miles, you'll still see that there should most of those mountains should be completely gone.
Yeah, but that
and you can see
wasn't
the
your
peninsula.
claim, was it? Your claim was I would see a sandy beach, is what you
Okay,
said.
agreed.
Being able to
agreed.
see a mountain at a distance doesn't mean anything.
Agreed. But the point you were saying, I wouldn't produce anything, but I did this observation myself.
No, you haven't
and
produced
that's why-
anything that supports your claim. Like I said, you haven't. You wouldn't.
So yeah, that means you owe Gem £1,000.
Is that bus short enough that you got thrown under?
There's no time limit. Well, I mean, there's a reasonable time limit, but he's got time, but he won't be able to produce it, and he knows he won't.
You eating, Gem?
Sorry.
Part.
Disgrace. So, Kimo, who are you praying for to win this bet? Your fellow truther or a globe shill who perpetrates lies and conspiracies? It's not the question I asked, Kimo. Not the question I asked. I'm asking who in this specific instance. Well, I appreciate that, Kimo. As much as I do appreciate that in this, but again, I appreciate that. But in this instance, who do you wish to win? The truther, your fellow truther, of course. I get that's very nice of you, very kind of you, but you need the truth to get out, Kimo. Are you against truth now? Why are you against truth all of a sudden?
It's not all of a sudden. It's always been against truth.
No, that's very true.
That is true.
Speaking truth to untruth.
Chemo's only purpose for knowing the truth ever is so he knows what to obfuscate.
Look, we're going to go down in history, guys, for something that you failed to recognize. Okay? And people will
That's
in
fine.
50
As long
years.
as you go down, I'm happy.
50 years time, people will look back and be like, "How could you be deceived this way?"
Right, they will be like our of these flat earthers deceived.
Yeah.
The thing that
People living in the 21st century actually thought the Earth was flat. How on earth did that happen?
When no one's gone to the moon in 50 years, no one's gone to Mars, he's still on the
What
Earth.
damaged those people to make them think like that? That's what people think.
Yeah, when we leave the solar system and there's still idiots think it's flat and space doesn't exist.
So 50 years time, when you haven't gone to the moon, or when you haven't gone to Mars, you still think you're going to go.
You're not thinking big enough, Chemo. You're thinking too local, mate.
The universe is flat, not the Earth. Thank you.
So what we've done is...
Of course we went to the moon.
Sometimes...
So you accept that maybe the universe could be, but it's just crazy to think that maybe the only realm that you've ever seen might be.
You know what it means when an astronomer or a cosmologist says that the universe is flat?
The accretion disk of matter.
Nope.
So
like
is
the
that a
inertial
principle
plane.
of the law of is changing truth to untruth?
When you trace out triangles light years in distance, you always get 180 degrees. Therefore, it's flat.
Wait, what inertial plane? Who are you? Whose rhetoric are you spouting there? You didn't make that up yourself.
Yeah, that's a good bollocks picture.
I mean, so...
Did you use a fisheye lens for that, mate?
I mean, do you guys foresee the future, like the West moving... So you don't see, like, America being destroyed or Britain coming to an end. You just see it as the rise and rise. No, I'm just saying, like, the future of the West. Do you see it as rising? Or you...
Why?
Like, you know, the East is rising up, right? They're increasing their arms. They're looking for world dominance.
What we're talking about. That's all I'm asking you.
You've been listening to the Q tags again, Kimo.
I'm just saying you guys are not really looking at the future and putting
Why are
these
you
things together.
discounting the rest of the West?
Q tags have got it in for the rest of the world, and they're going to fucking
Canada will rise again.
First world order is somewhat on the fucking Q tags, and I don't know.
Any of these things you're talking about right now, Kimo, will or will not happen on a globe.
And that's a premonition.
So
Yeah.
why are you bringing it up?
PlayStation 6.
It doesn't help you. It's close.
I've just had a premonition, Kev. The
Globe is-
PlayStation 6 is going to be built into a smart TV next year. I bet you it's not going to be a console anymore, and it's built directly into the television. PlayStation 6, eat your out. It's going to be a big PlayStation 6 widescreen Super 4K TV. There you go.
You with that right now.
You heard it here.
No, it fucking won't. You know why? Because you can't fit it in the little spot in your caravan, mate.
Exactly. So you take the fucking roof off, don't you?
I've got your fucking number, mate. But
Yeah.
Solar, you're fucking wrong.
So let's
Up your
get back
pipe.
to the main point, Tal. I don't know why you're talking about PlayStation.
Oh, because I just thought I'd butt in and talk shit again like you all do, you know. Sorry to disturb your fucking frat talk about bullshit.
Yeah.
I do apologise.
Why do you go off topic and then chastise others for it?
Exactly, Kimo. Yeah, why do you go off topic and mute people and then chastise everybody else and mute them and stop them from joining in the conversation or topic just because you want it to work your way? Huh? Answer me that
Right,
question.
Kimo, do not judge lest ye be judged.
Yeah, eye for an eye and all that.
We're faced
Stick your
with,
finger in my eye, mate. I'm going to stick your boot in yours.
I don't think it's quite Lex Talionis.
We're faced with a dilemma, aren't we? And
Yeah.
At the moment, Kimo, the question is, when is Flat Earth Solar going to be transmitting the payment?
It's still going to be a thing in the next 2 or 3 years. Do you see its longevity?
Yeah, I'm sure if I don't know, you're waiting for pictures, right, or something.
I think it's got longevity. It'll keep going. There's no reason to think Flat Earth's going to stop.
No, as long as
does that mean?
In fact, it's
Hang
about
on.
to get a big fat boost of Q-tards who'll be looking for a new conspiracy.
Oh, yeah.
It's here now.
Hang on, I reckon if I threw up a GoFundMe in about 2 weeks' time, Jem would be able to make a sizable donation to me.
I use the word disparaging loosely.
But that's what I'm doing. I'm disparaging you.
All right, then.
Solar's brought up the conversation we had about 8 hours ago.
Oh, isn't it funny that? Fucking, you know, that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah,
Somebody
look at that.
you can get back to your fucking conversation, you know.
Yeah, but look at that. A largest mismatch between theory and experiment. Got nothing to do with the actual science itself.
And they were looking for what? A scientific method?
Okay, so when before we were flat earthers, we were under the illusion that there was science for the globe.
And now you're in a flat earth delusion, Kimo.
No, well now we're like, well, okay, if globers have science,
It's an illusionally downward spiral into the oblivion of nothingness.
because science
Yay.
is important, right? You're not science deniers, are you guys? Yeah.
No, we don't deny anything. We try and give you the answer to everything, but you still deny that. So what can we do? We actually have to stand on our own hands sometimes to stop ourselves from falling over backwards.
You have to cure Chemo's brain disease. That's what you have to do.
Well, look, when we're given broken promises from BioDual, who promises to provide experiments, of course we're going to be upset, right? That you guys have lied to us yet again. More lies as we proceed through the truth.
He probably could provide experiments. You just probably said they weren't experiments.
No,
Is that what happened?
No. He's
No,
yet
he's
to, no,
trying
no,
to
no, no,
do
no. He's yet to do one. He said he can go to a
evolution of
university.
vacuum.
He said he
No,
can.
you dismiss.
He said he can go to a university and get this experiment done.
No.
Then he says he's going to
Sorry,
buy one
you
or
ob-
something.
This is the only
So-
time Chemo can tout his superiority, because once BioDual actually does the experiment, he won't be able to say this anymore.
Yeah.
Where's your model?
Exactly,
Always
exactly.
coming for years.
So once BioDual gets
Years
this
and years.
done,
Always
my
model.
argument will be no more, and I'll have egg in the face, right?
You don't have an argument.
You also don't have any eggs.
Also, Chemo, have you started that GoFundMe to go to Antarctica that you said you would do back in last March?
Antarctica. Which part of the ice wall are you talking about?
The one that you set up with, I don't know, myself and Druss present, listening to you saying that, yeah, I'll set up a GoFundMe to do a trip down there with.
Yeah, but then what
that's right,
happened? We
Hannah.
found out that there was no 24-hour sun, so there was no point going.
No. You said you would set up a GoFundMe to take a boat down to Antarctica.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, everything to do was to go and see a 24-hour sun.
Yeah, exactly. But you haven't set up the GoFundMe.
Because researching it, there's no evidence to suggest there is a 24-hour sun down there. Like if I was going to China, I'd have to actually see Chinese people, hear the Chinese language, try some Chinese food, and say, where does this come from? China.
Why would you have to do that?
Look at the map, look at Google, just look at the videos, look at those people blogging when they say, look at me.
China's in Antarctica.
When those people say, look at me, I'm in China, I'm speaking Chinese.
You're spiraling.
No, I'm saying people make
China
blogs.
isn't anywhere near Antarctica.
Look at me walking around China, and I'm doing all these things.
Yeah, you can see all of that. You can see people walking around Antarctica.
Not
you can see people speaking in Antarctica.
Antarctican.
Well, there is no Antarctican, is there?
No Antarctican language. So
No.
Hey, can I point something out to you, Chemo?
So, do we only accept the existence of places with a language, with their own?
No. I just mean like that bit of ice could be anywhere.
Because that means America and Australia don't exist, or Canada.
Antarctica does have a language, actually. It's got a multi-language of about 52 different conglomerate companies.
All right.
No. What we're
If
saying,
we don't exist, why am I paying tax?
like when people go to America, they like if they go see Times Square, something like that, they show it over and over again. Look at me here, look at me there. Different people, lots of different people showing this. Now in Antarctica,
Here's some more snow. Here's more snow.
Yeah, but
look,
and Canada
more snow.
and the United States have their own languages. You speak British English, we speak Canadian and American English.
Can I try to make a relevant point here real quick?
I hate it when he says we Canadians. That pisses the fuck out of me.
To what Chemo was crying about, Chemo, 24-hour sun, you called it a lie. If you're going to Antarctica, you don't even have to leave the ship. You go at the right time of the year, you can get well within the Antarctic Circle, still in the ocean, don't even need to go on the land, and you will be able to see 24-hour sun from the damn ship.
No, I know,
What's
that's
your
what
excuse?
we're told, but again, we need to actually see that this actually happens. People like selfieing.
What's your excuse?
But no one's done this.
You haven't done it. You said you're going down there. This is something you could do.
But dude,
don't
you've
even
got to do
have to
research
go
before you
onto
get
the land.
You've got to do
So what's your excuse?
That you've got to do research, and the research shows that there was no 24-hour sun down there.
You haven't done any
Research
research.
24-hour sun yourself.
If you just
You
research
can
the
do
text chat, you would see
it
plenty
without
of
leaving
examples.
the ship.
Come on.
What is your excuse?
May I interject?
Look, the
Thank you.
idea would be to go to the
I
South
want his
Pole.
excuse.
Oh,
The idea would be to go to South Pole and watch the 24-hour sun. That doesn't happen.
Said 24-hour sun is a lie. You don't need to go to the South Pole to see
That's
it.
where I'd want to go.
You can see it from the ship.
No, I want to
You can
see
see
it
it
from
from
South
the
Pole. North Pole,
the
South
year,
Pole.
yeah?
So anyway,
Maybe
look,
the second
you
half
don't
of the
need
year,
to worry
you're going
about that.
to
That's
get
not
23
going to
and a half
happen
hours
this year.
a day sunlight, yeah. But not quite 24.
You look, no
You
one's
will
going...
get 24-hour fucking sunlight from the ship at
Yeah.
the right time of the year. You can get well within the Antarctic Circle. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Again, you're talking to me about the model. I know the
God
model.
damn it, Tao. 24 motherfucking hours.
Yeah, the model says so.
Days.
How much is 24 hours?
I disagree with you there, Kev. Sorry. It's about 23 and a half.
So,
Because we have
Now,
leap years
him
and all that
curve.
shit. And the seasons move forward. So
Okay.
Tao,
You believe
don't
what
be a
you
dick.
want, Tao.
okay then. Yep. If I stand corrected, then I stand corrected. Otherwise, I believe my own shit. Yep. Thank you.
So, like I said, we're told you guys have got science. We're waiting for BioGeol to provide the experiments. And then...
No, stop repeating yourself.
No, because that's where we are. It's
What's
like we
your
were...
excuse for not going down there like you said you would?
Because after the research...
Hang Hang
not
on,
necessary.
you're waiting on BioDuel, and we've been waiting 10 months for you to be saying, I'm heading down to Antarctica right now, because up until the end of February, you'll see a 24-hour sun below the 80th parallel.
Well, a lot of flat earthers were privy that something, didn't know exactly what was going to happen in 2020. So all plans were cancelled, you see.
The cruises to Antarctica were still happening, mate.
No, I can't leave the country. There's no flights. What are you talking about?
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
There's no flights.
That's
No
because they
flights
took
at
your
all.
passport off you, Chemo.
Yeah, there's no...
Like they do when you're
Ross
charged
Boss.
with a crime, that's what they do. Right.
Ooh.
They make you hand in your passport.
Surrender your passport.
Do they?
Exposing
The entire
globe
world-
lie is criminal to the
Do not
they?
pass go. Do not collect
The entire
$200.
world's in
Go directly to
lockdown.
jail.
I didn't even know that.
Sometimes they do. They think you're at risk of pissing off
Yes, they
abroad.
revoke your. Yes, they revoke your.
Yeah,
Happiness.
but unfortunately we're on lockdown now. No one can't travel anywhere for the next 3 years. And
We're not on lockdown.
so go to Antarctica,
Unless-
prove the 24-hour sun. What's
I
your
don't need
excuse?
to go down there because I know what happens.
You're right next
It's
door
you
to it.
that needs to prove it to yourself. You've done
I
not a
don't need
single
to go
fucking
down there. They
experiment
just make
this
the
year.
claims without any evidence.
Exactly. He's right next door to it as well. It takes him a couple of minutes to get over there.
Why?
Couple of minutes.
The guy that's on our fucking $100 bill went down there and
Quick
did
minute.
it for us.
Yeah, Chemo, just do the GoFundMe, send the money to Davros, he'll go down there for you.
Davos can do a GoFund if he
No,
wants to
it
go
was
and
your
prove it.
idea.
Yeah, it was my idea, but again, we've
So you
had...
can't do it, so give Davros the money, he'll do it for you at a reduced rate.
Do you trust Davros? Don't be silly. Let me see you
That
give
was fine.
Davros
I
some
don't,
money.
but you're the one telling him to go down
Well,
there and do
let
it.
me see that you trust Davros. Send him some money, and then once I see that...
You are the one asking him to go do
yeah,
it.
but do you
So
trust
why don't you
Davros?
give him the money to go do
you
it?
trust him?
I do not
Why is
trust
it
him.
not
You are the
stipulated
one
in
asking him to go do
yeah,
it.
but do you
though.
trust Davros?
Yes,
You have an experiment.
yes, I trust him with my life.
No,
Yes,
no.
I
Does
do.
verbal trust him?
Absolutely.
So verbal, if you
was
trust him,
verbal
send
does
him
as well.
send him $1,000. Let's see if he sends it you back, and then we'll see that he's trustworthy.
Okay, I'm sending it to him now. Here you are, Davros. I'm just PayPaling you this £1,000.
Ah,
Thank
okay.
you very much. But should I notify Chemo about the sizable donation I made to your GoFundMe?
No, you can just send it back to me if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Here you go.
Doesn't GoFundMe take like 10%?
There you go, Chemo.
You're
Approved it.
good, excellent. So I'm going to send you the money now, Davros. There you go.
You don't have $1 million, mate.
I've just sent it to
I
you.
know
You don't have to
Jim's
send
got
it back
1,000
there,
'cause
right?
He just won a bet against Solar.
Don't be sending it back now. Just keep it with you, yeah?
Hang on, I know
Hold
Jim's
on, let's see
money,
if
though.
Davros is trustworthy. Davros, send it back just to see if you're trustworthy, and then he'll send it again.
Yeah.
Percentage.
Well, Jem trusted him, and then Jem got it back.
Do you want me to pants you now?
So
or
he is
later?
trustworthy.
Pants him now.
Maybe he just trusts his cronies, the maintainers of the globe lie.
I'm surprised you were taken in by that, Chemo, but it seems that you were.
No, well, he's trustworthy, right? So
it was a very compelling piece of evidence that we presented there, I thought.
no. I mean, if that's the way we go about it, many methods, as you say, to know things and do things. So, what I was going to do was say I've just
Actually, I
been to
think your PC's a
Antarctica
good
and I'm
bit.
back now. But we're sending Davros, so I sent him the money instead. So Davros, what was it like? Did you see the sun? 24 hours?
Oh, dude, the amount of diamonds down there would absolutely bankrupt all the national banks.
So, do you know how we're making up a story now? This is exactly what the globe is all about. Just stories and fables and myths and ideas, right?
Yes, but sometimes it's those stories of fiction that sometimes become truth and reality.
No, I mean, this is complete fiction, isn't it? No truth to this.
Like the flat Earth.
Automatic.
You're right
automatic
next
doors
to
were written in
Antarctica.
Star Trek, mate.
I mean, why on earth hasn't one Australian ever seen the 24-hour sun? That is
What?
bizarre. People in the north always see their 24-hour sun, and they make a big deal about it. They go in crowds. Why don't the Aussies go in crowds
the bottom
to go
of
and see
Australia,
this?
the bottom of Australia, does it go past the 40-second parallel?
Whenever we have an eclipse, people go outside and watch it. if there's any kind of event, we go out, but not the Aussies. The Aussies are like, no, 24 hours, sir.
Chemo.
Can't be bothered with that.
It happens all the time.
Wait, Chemo. From Adelaide to the coast of Antarctica is like 5,000 fucking miles.
But again, any event like that in the sky, people go out and look for it. People travel to America
How
to
close
see
is Alaska to the
see
North
eclipses.
Pole?
You know, they go to Mexico.
So how close to 24 hours does Australia get there? If they're on the 42nd, maybe do they get 18 hours or
Would
19
you like to
hours,
know?
like Ushuaia?
Would you like to know? Because I live at
That's
34.7
what I'm asking.
degrees south. Yes, we get 18 out on the 22nd of December, 18 hours of light from twilight to twilight.
Yeah, but do you see the sun for 18 hours?
Yes.
No, from twilight to twilight.
Just-
It's a long
Yes.
Sunrise
and a
to
long
sunset, Davros. It
Yeah, but
is
you
what
don't
it
see
is.
the
You're in a different latitude. It's not a loss. There's no worries.
Yeah. Okay, so it's sunrise to sunset, 18 hours.
No, but you don't see the sun.
It's actually a little bit longer, but we won't go into that.
Well, go on then. Let's have a look then. Let's have a look. Show that.
It can't be sunrise to sunset.
Well, why don't you go and have a look
Oh,
at
for goodness sake.
dateandtime.com?
Yeah,
Go
okay.
on. You do the research.
Sure.
Dateandtime.com, 22nd of December, Adelaide, South Australia. And you calculate the hours and minutes.
Yeah, when you go and look at the ice wall.
I can't go there. The Antarctic Treaty forbids me.
No, just go now during lockdown. Just go now.
Just go and look at the
While
ice
there's no
wall.
international flights.
Go and do it yourself. Go on. To prove it to me.
Listen to it now. Listen to it now.
Go and prove it to me. My claim. You go and prove it.
to you.
Yeah, prove my claim to me. Go on.
Yeah. Good one, Chemo. Look, mate, I'm not doing your homework.
Exactly. So if you think the sun is shining 24 hours down that way, let's have a look.
Well, actually, it's not right now. It's fucking overcast.
Yeah, well, when you think it happened, let's see. Not one Australian has ever been down there to see this. That is crazy.
Hey, let me give you a quick tip on how to measure something. How long is your house from end to end? Well, I've got thousands of feet of electrical wiring in my house, says Flat Earth Solar.
Excuse me? I didn't say anything about that.
I'm making kind of a joke as an analogy to your dimwittery with line of sight versus driving distance.
That was good. I almost spat my drink out then, Kurt.
Davos, could you be any more wrong today?
Your house has to be thousands of feet long, right?
Oh, Chemo, are you holding on to the wrongness from someone who said she wasn't a flat earther, even though she's a flat earther?
No, I think she's not sure what the shape is, right?
That's eyes to see. She's a fucking flat earther.
No, I know, but she was saying to you guys she doesn't know what it is.
But why did she leave her GoFundMe up on GoFundMe that explains?
I'm saying
that
it's a
she's
lot
doing
safer
flat
to
earth
say
research?
to you lot, we don't know, than to make a claim that you're going to strawman us with. So we can say we don't know what this is, we don't know what that is, and then if you want to know, we've got to find out, investigate, not rely on the liars who have given us misinformation. Got to do it ourselves.
Disinformation.
We, the people, have to do these things ourselves. No institution we can rely on. But then again, it will turn into an institution, so it's going to be difficult, yeah. Who to trust?
In your opinion, Chemo?
In my
Tell
opinion,
us all you know
yeah.
about lying and disinformation, Chemo. Teach us your secrets.
Lying? Well, obviously we know they're lying about the shape because there's no evidence for the ball, right?
You talking about like Bob and Jaronism and such?
What about Bob? What about Jaron?
Lying?
No, again, we're
No,
researchers. Researchers may get things wrong because you're getting the news right now. So, like, when your companies, your institutions have time to test and practice, you don't see their mistakes. Then they publish the correct results.
All right, so where are your measurements showing that it's flat?
We've got
Laser.
Yeah, go ahead.
35
You don't
mile
have
laser.
measurements with lasers showing it's flat. You play around
Core
with
has done
distance, height, and the curvature where you're dancing right around the edge. And then you claim
the
it's
same
flat.
guys, Bob and Jaron.
Oh, they're full of
The
shit.
same guys that you're talking about. They did that FE core experiment, 35 miles with a laser.
You're out of your, were you there? Did you see it?
I've
What do you
read
actually
the
know? What
document.
do you actually know
I've
about
read.
that?
I've seen all the photos that they posted. How they set up the
What do you know
equipment.
about
How
what
they
they've
leveled the
actually
laser.
said about it?
There's evidence
Which experiment are you talking about?
35 miles. So
You haven't
the
seen
one where they didn't columnate the
measurement?
laser.
You haven't seen photos of that. They haven't published any photos of it.
In their PDF document, they did.
Yeah, that's a photo
on
taken at
FE
about. That's a photo taken at about 5 meters that they used to show the target.
In the
Mike
PDF
Kavanagh,
document, there's lots of photos.
No, there are.
You were just saying, have we measured? I'm saying yes.
There,
we have.
there are no
You can
photos
go
of. There,
and read if you want.
listen, there are no photos in that document at all of the 35-mile measurement or any measurement at any kind of a distance. The only
course
photos
there
in
is.
there, there aren't. Show them.
There is.
No, there aren't.
Another 1,000 on the table? Only joking.
Mike Kavanagh made this very clear. They're waiting for a special occasion to release this information. And Slice Barkane went through it with him. The picture that they've got there of a laser beam hitting a target is their attempt at misrepresentation. When they were asked about it, they had to admit that is not the actual observation taking place. It's just them setting the laser up. But of course, you didn't bother to look properly and just wanted to believe it, so you just believed it.
No, I did see it.
But
I'm
of
just
course-
looking for the document now.
But of course, that was 2 years ago, and these people have got
There's a link to the
damning
document in chat, I believe.
that these people have got damning evidence that shows the Earth is unequivocally flat, and yet they've sat on this evidence for 2 years and not released it.
Hang on, did he just flat out lie to you then, Jim?
Well, I understand, because there are photos in here. I understand what he thinks he's seen. Because that's what it was meant to look like. But
they've got
when
the close up of the grid, right?
Yeah, that was done at a few meters away. Slice Barkane specifically asked Mike Kavanagh about this, and he says it there and then. That's the distance.
Vera's posted a PDF link to the FE core experiment in the chat.
Oh yes, I like that one. 127 pages worth.
At no point do we see the laser hitting the target from any distance.
Points in between it for references.
Sorry?
Hey Jim.
You said that there were absolutely no photos and that they'd never released anything.
I
And
didn't
as
say
you'll
there are
see-
absolutely no photos because I went
said there
on to
was
describe.
one.
I went on to
said there was
describe the
one.
photo that was in here of a laser hitting a target, and that is the only photo in here of a laser hitting a target.
There's multiple.
Oh
but
no,
you've
there's
actually
one
gotta
more
go
right
through-
at the end in the technical data one. I think that's
You've got
actually.
to go through all of it to be able to understand
I've
it.
just been through all of it. There are 2 photos that show a laser hitting a target. The one that I
So
knew was there, and
the
this-
observation locations, whenever there's a picture that says observation location.
Okay,
that's from
show me
the other
on
side.
which page is the photograph of the laser hitting the target at whatever you said it was, 35 miles or whatever you said it was. Show me tell me the page number of the photograph of the laser hitting the target there.
Well, every time that there was an observer and that the observer was taking documented evidence, I would say that would be one of them. But I think here near the bottom, what's this, page 116, they're showing like the square grid map of how they were hitting with the laser.
Right, that was done a
out.
few meters away. That wasn't done at a distance. I
There's
can link
no
you.
claim to that. Okay,
All
well, show me
all right,
if you've
all
got
right.
it.
Okay, I'll find it. Might take me a minute to find it.
And not someone's supposition that that's what they think it is, like
Well,
actual evidence.
Mike Kavanagh, head of FE Corps, who was there at the time running the experiment, he says that is done from, I think, 5 meters, I think is what he said. It's a very, very short distance, whatever it was.
Okay, so like page 36, page 37, it shows the observer's location. It shows the blue light and the green light. And then when they went to the next point...
That's meaningless. That is absolutely meaningless.
Page 52,
Seeing a laser at a distance
54.
doesn't mean anything at all. It tells you absolutely nothing.
Read the abstract. Super accurate laser aiming device, i.e. salad, the high precision. Fucking salad, my ass.
See if I can find Mike.
You're talking about the FE core, like
Fucking salad of all things to call it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they could have worked on that one a little bit. You can see that
I think they worked too hard on that.
The nerds are not marketers.
Jesus. Look, calculates reduced measurement errors caused by
They're not even very good nerds on top of that.
They're trying to put mucky air in the way, aren't they? And it affects laser, lad.
So the next one that you're talking about, Jem, was their radio wave transmission, and they haven't released that, but they did these radio wave transmissions, and they did this geology study or geodesy study where they went and actually did physical points. So there is more coming out.
So far, their microwave tests have been unsuccessful, haven't they? They've done 2 or 3, and none of them have worked.
Well, they haven't released the way that, I don't know, Globebusters channel is basically gone.
Well, the stuff that they have released, which is for at least 2 experiments, neither of those worked. And one of them, the second one, was an update to the first. It had alterations that they needed to make because it had failed the first time. And that didn't work either.
The point I was trying to raise when I brought this up was that you were claiming that Bob proved the rotation through his gyro experiment.
I never said any such thing. Never said any such thing. Never, ever. Those words have never uttered my lips. Left my lips.
I think it was curved. Or someone said that effectively when we said, was there proof? And they said, oh, you mean like Bob and like their experiments? And I said, yes, like the FE core laser experiment. And then that's where we got onto this whole topic.
Right.
So it's just bringing it back.
It's not very good evidence, mate, I'm afraid, because...
It's what you put forward when asked.
Because...
Well, is it not good when it's proving the rotation? Or is it not good when it's proving it's flat?
I don't think it proves it flat. I think you're just being really gullible and you're just believing it because FE Core said it. And there's no evidence that it occurred at all. None whatsoever.
I've seen 30 plus miles with my own eyes standing at the beach with my own observations. So when I hear that they've done an experiment that showed a similar result to what I've seen with my own eyes, there's no need to jump to any conclusions because it's concording with what I've actually observed in physical reality. It's not a belief system or an idea that the horizon's at 3 miles always if you're 6 feet.
What planet are you on? A really tiny one?
No, that's your belief.
Do you know the horizon always moves away from you as you move towards it?
Of course, it's because it's an optical thing. It's an apparent location.
Exactly. Yeah. So if it's an apparent location, then why is it an optical apparent location? Why does it move that way?
Because of the convexity of the lens of your eyeball.
And the convexity of the curve of the surface of the Earth, which is gradual. on a very, very long distance scale. It's
Well,
because
it's
you're
measured.
so tiny
It's measured.
and your eyes are so
It's
tiny
supposed
that
to
you
be at
cannot
3
perceive
miles.
that perspective, can you? That's your
Supposed to be
problem.
at 3 miles.
No, you
Black
can't
Swan
perceive the
proved that is
perspective
not
because
true.
your eyes are too small. Have you got big fucking eyes the size of a giant now? You got these big
So the
boggly
re-
eyes 6 foot wide, have you, that you can see long distances now, can you?
No one
you
said that
can't. You
except
can only
you.
see what you can see, can't you? Because your eyes
But-
are limited to the perspective of the size of the bloody planet. Get it?
Correct. It's got to do with the aperture. You're
You're so
spot on.
tiny, the planet is so big, so you will what? See a little bit of it? Yeah, you will. That's all you'll see is a little tiny bit
No,
of it.
but you nailed it. You nailed it because it's got to do with the aperture size of the lens that determines the distance that you can see. So you were spot on that if I had big 6 foot eyes with big 6 foot aperture lenses in my eyeballs, I would be able to see like a telescope and see much further than I do. But because of the Rayleigh criterion and the diameter of my aperture in my eyeball, I have a preset limit and how the world will appear to fade off equidistant around me like a circle. It'll always be a certain
criteria has
distance.
nothing to do with how far away.
Cue the GIF. It's GIF, by the way. Cue the GIF of the zooming in on that boat sailing over the horizon, bringing it back into focus when you zoom in. Someone cue that GIF up. Rocket probably has it, but he's deafened. It's GIF, by the way, guys. All right. Thank you for your time.
Chronic gift.
If your eyes are the reason for the limitation for the distance, why is it you can see hundreds of miles when you gain in altitude?
Temperature.
That was funny, Chemo. Right. Flat Earth solar.
It's
all right. Go on,
It's got to do with angular. It's got to do with angular resolution. When the angle of the object is less than, I think it's 0.2 of a degree, you lose it. It almost becomes indistinguishable to the rest of the background. So as soon as you raise in altitude, the angle that the light or the way that light is able to still expand outwards and that you're getting it at a broader angle or a more obtuse angle as you gain with altitude, that is what allows you to then see further and further and further.
Okay, now the angle you're talking about, your angle of view, is not the angle in angular resolution. You know this, right?
No, it is. It's all got to do with the Rayleigh criterion.
No,
at
it's
certain
not.
distances.
It's incorrect.
Flat Earth, I'm
At
going to need you to
certain
be
distances.
silent. Flat Earth, I need you to be silent until I finish my rebuttal to your assertion. How's that? Now here we go. The angular resolution refers to the ability of an optical system to resolve objects based on their angular size, apparent size. Those are the same thing. Angular size, apparent size. That is the angle. The angular size that it subtends in your field of view, not your angle to it. Now try again.
No, he's
In
going to
your field of view.
Yeah.
So exactly, as you go up, your field of view broadens, right?
Okay.
That's not what the Rayleigh criteria has to do with, though, at all.
I want you
Where
to tell
is
me
your
what's
angle
wrong
of
with
view?
that picture you posted.
Where's your angle of view in the formula for angular size?
Do you at least understand that angular size does diminish as you get further from the object? Do you agree with that?
Angular size. Real
The
size,
apparent angular
distance.
size?
Not your angle
Does
to
it change?
Of course.
Fuck's
So-
sake, stop eating.
It's the same way that if you put on blinkers on a horse, it's now blocking off a certain part of the exterior periphery of the horse, and it can only see in line with whatever that blockage is and away from
It doesn't change the distance that it can see.
If you moved that little eyepiece away from the horse, so gaining in altitude, the horse would be able to see further around that piece or further from that piece. So it's the same concept that as you raise in altitude, you're getting away from the obstruction, which is the ground.
The horse
that
can't
would
see
block
further.
the view on the horizontal.
The horse can't see further just because it doesn't have blinders on. It can see further. It can see more of an area around it. It can't see further ahead, though.
You're making an argument that the Earth is curved, obstructing your view of the distant objects. Good job. And again, you failed to grasp the truth of the matter, which is the angle of view to it is nothing to do with your angular resolution. What determines its angular size is apparent size.
It is a common mistake that's made though.
Well, they need to stop
not even
making
not even just flat earthers, but also just sort of children who are learning the concepts for the first time. Make that.
And
mistake.
then they need to quit acting like they know what they're talking about when they're confronted on this.
Well,
give me some evidence that you're right, dimwit.
I mean, we're in the age of entitlement. Everyone, the internet. Everyone thinks.
Don't try and bullshit you out of it. Answer the question.
Entitled to not be obligated to give him what he thinks he's entitled to. He needs
giving
to
you
provide
bullshit, apparently.
citation if he thinks that he's going to say that what he thinks is correct above what everybody already fucking knows.
Maybe you think we fell off the same fucking seesaw he did in the playground. I don't know.
So solar, your angle of view to it is nothing to do with your angular size.
You guys misunderstood my point. It's the same thing that you experience in a hallway where it appears like the walls are converging. The walls are parallel, but in the resolution, the way that your eye actually takes in the image, it appears like those walls are converging. So it's the same thing. What I was trying to explain with the blinders or the blinkers on the horse, it's that optical perspective, and as you broaden that and take away the walls from that hallway, that you would be able to see further before that point of conversion.
Okay, now, Mr. Smarty Pants, if you're sitting down in the hallway and you look down to the end of it and they appear to converge, can you now see farther down the hallway because you stand up and double your observer height, changing your angle of view, increasing your angular resolution in your retarded fucking cocked up brain?
Absolutely. If you lie down on the floor, you'll only see so far on the floor, and then the ceiling will drop down much quicker when your face is on the floor. And then if you raise all the way to the ceiling height, you would naturally see a lot more of the corridor floor, but you would see the ceiling appear to disappear quicker, and the lights would disappear into the floor or appear to disappear into the floor. So naturally, just through what's
Are you going to answer his question about seeing further?
This is what I'm doing. Are you not listening?
I am listening. You are not listening because you're actually not talking about seeing further.
I am. So as I explained, when you're on the ground, on the floor, and you're only seeing, say there's a pattern on the carpet, the pattern's repeating maybe 10 times, and then it blurs into what is the distance. Now you raise in altitude to the ceiling height, you're now going to see 15 patterns or 14 patterns, but it's going to appear like the ceiling is taking up more of your field of view because you're pressed against the ceiling. So it's the closest obstruction, and it's the same thing that when you're standing on the earth, the closest obstruction to you is the earth, which is why it appears to block your view so quickly. But as soon as you raise in altitude, you can naturally see further. It's simple. It's not rocket science, this. Whether it's flat or curved. I guess it doesn't prove either side because you guys will believe it's because of curve. And we've demonstrated that you can see further on flat objects simply by raising in altitude as well. So,
you could
next point.
You can't you? How high can you jump?
Yeah, the difference is those limitations of sight have been demonstrated, whereas their globe curve has never been demonstrated.
Shut the fuck up, percent.
100%.
Ignoring the incorrect claim with no evidence there, let's go back to this thing of trying to change your actual perspective from looking at the floor to looking at the ceiling. That still doesn't describe about how you would see further without blinders.
Okay, the blinders were that you would see more because the obstruction, you'd be moving away from the thing
We
that's
didn't ask about
obstructing you.
seeing more. We asked about seeing further. Do you not understand the
Okay.
difference there?
So turn your head on its side and put the blinder on the ground and then raise in altitude and you see further.
Still not asking about seeing more. We're asking about seeing
I can
further.
understand it's confused you that I went from talking about on a horizontal plane to a
No, it
vertical
didn't
plane.
confuse me. You just aren't answering the question about seeing further.
Okay, the blinkers was, or the blinders was effectively an analogy to try and explain a blockage and about resolution limits of your field of view.
The problem with your argument is we see things that are way, way fucking further away, and we see that we can see fucking half of them. We can see the top half of a mountain, but we can't see the bottom half of a mountain. It's not because the angular size of that fucking mountain is too small. It's because it's physically blocked. Your argument has nothing to do with the argument that we can see too far.
But
It's fucking
standing
stupid.
but standing in a corridor, you understand that the floor remains parallel to the ceiling.
Yeah, but you
it
can still see the fucking end of
appears
the.
to
You can still
converge.
see the end of the hallway. You can still see the fucking end of the hallway. You might be able not be able to see the floor of the end of the hallway, but you can still see the floor, the end of the hallway.
Not always. Then you haven't been in a big enough hotel.
I haven't floated around many ceilings lately, but you know, when you do, the kids shout, you know.
But the real problem is that when you look at things in the distance, the height of the thing and the relative size of the thing doesn't make sense for where its height is. You know, it's lowering because of the curve of the Earth. If it was lowering because of angular resolution, it should be a different size.
Yep.
Yes.
Well said. It's yeah. He's trying to argue that it's flawed. This perspective argument, perspective alone cannot hide a portion of an object while revealing the rest. If the angular, you know, your eye has some fixed angular resolution, the size of it would be uniformly, shrinking.
You have to be on one weird fucking angle, you mean?
No, I'm just saying just a large object like a mountain or something. So.
You need to be a bloody magician and get people stood at that angle, and then when they look the other way, look, it's gone.
What?
You put some at such an angle that you make the crowd look the other way, and then when they look back at the fucking angle of the object that was there, it's gone. All you've done is change the fucking angle. What they see is gone. Yeah, so it's not what you see, it's where you see it. You know, it's the angle of perspective, the angle of perception of the perspective. There's all sorts of factors that come into bloody boil with that one, you know. I couldn't even do the calculations. I ain't a fucking super mathematician, so no, I can't help you with that one. But yeah, there will be a formula in there somewhere. I don't know what the fuck they'd use it for. Probably debating flat earth shit, but you know, yeah.
Alright, Tal. You go no one again. Look, Solar, don't worry about the attack.
What do you mean, all right? Why?
We're trying to get Solar back on the horse. I mean, that's not the only thing that we have. I'm sure he has other arguments. Doesn't mean that you've won anything here. It just means that you guys rely on mathematics and numbers to give you your answers. So, what else do we have, Solar?
We haven't said anything about fucking math, Chemo. We're saying we can't see the bottom of the fucking mountain. Why not? It should be bigger. It's closer to us, right?
Well, we know why. We know
the
why.
bottom of the mountain's closer to us than the top of the mountain. Why the fuck can't I see it, Chemo?
We know why. This is old, dude.
Why can't I see the bottom of the mountain, Chemo?
We can replicate
Tell me why.
this.
If you know why, tell me why.
Let's move on.
No, I want you to tell me why I can't see the bottom of the fucking mountain.
Alright, I'll give you the experiment.
No, I want you to tell me why I can't see the bottom of the mountain.
If you zoom in, Andy, you'll be able to bring the mountain back into view.
No, you don't have to zoom in. What you should do is wait for it to clear
was
up.
that true though? Can you zoom in and it'll come
on
back?
the solstice, you can see the bottom of the mountain. You have to wait for this.
No,
summer
yeah. So
solstice.
what you have to do is wait for the
You need to wait for the
weather to
atmospheric
change.
turbidity to go away.
Just wait for the weather to change and you'll see the bottom.
Oh my fucking god.
So let's move on anyway. Again, that's why I say it's not that big of a deal for us. Simple stuff why you can't see the bottom. But Solar, are you still with us?
So when the weather changes from being clear to cloudy, I should be able to see the bottom of the mountain, which you just said?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, once the weather clears up. So if you go early in the morning when it's the temperature's lower.
No, you didn't say that. You said when the weather changed. And what was my question?
You're asking when can you see the bottom of the object?
That was not my question.
Yeah, you want to know when can you see it, right?
This has been so well demonstrated that through angular resolution limits, through optical
The
lensing,
mountain is
that
further
you
away.
often lose
No,
the bottom of an
no.
object.
No, the top of the mountain
No,
is
that's not
further
true.
away and it's smaller. That doesn't
So if
explain
I took
why the
one
bottom
brick-
of the mountain disappears. The bottom of the mountain is bigger than the top of the mountain, and it's fucking closer to you. That's how mountains work.
So if I went and put a single brick on a highway and I drove 3-4 miles away from it, you think I would still be able to see that singular brick
But
sitting on the highway?
solar, you gotta. But
But if I add now 100 bricks on top of it, do you think I'll still see that
You can
first
still
brick?
you can still see the first brick in both cases. What are you saying, Chronic?
I'm just interested in his response to this, to what Andy's saying.
Yeah, we're not finished. Go ahead, Solar.
The bottom of a mountain isn't the size of a tiny little brick on a road. I don't give a shit about your brick on a road or your hallway.
Can you do ratios in your head? Can you do ratios?
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking good at math, turns out.
So if we're talking 1 brick to 100 bricks, and then we talk about a ratio of a mountain, the base of the mountain compared to the height of the mountain, if the same thing applies to a singular brick placed on a highway, I would say even at about 2 miles, you will not be able to see. Even at 1 mile, I'm sure that it will get to a point where
you
it's
have the ratios back.
difficult to see
The mountain isn't
one
shrinking
brick.
like that.
Yeah,
The
it's
mountain
actually
the
backwards
bottom of the mountain is fucking gone. It's not even there. I can see the top of the mountain. It's smaller than the bottom of the mountain. Why the fuck can't I see the bottom of the mountain? It's bigger than
because
the top.
of the same reason why
No,
you cannot
no,
see.
no.
Even if it
Hold
was
on.
5
Hold on,
bricks
Andy, hold on.
stacked. Even if it was 5 bricks stacked on a highway.
You can see
and
5
drove
bricks stacked.
Hold on.
3 or 4 miles away, you won't see those 5
Yes, you
bricks.
will. You'll still see them. You'll still see them.
You tell Andy to hold on, and then you
If there's a flat plane between you and those bricks, if there's nothing in the way, then there's no reason not to see them.
So I don't know if you've ever driven on a warm day where you sometimes get that optical phenomenon where it looks like the road's shimmering.
Okay, so how about, how about I'm in
vehicles
the
seem
middle
to
of
just
winter?
appear out of nowhere.
It's
Yeah, I've seen
winter
that.
right now.
Okay, so there's all
Come on,
kinds
I've got to
of
protect my flat here. You can't all jump
But
on
you
him.
didn't say it was that condition. I'm assuming it's natural, clear day.
Can't keep jumping on him. You can't think if you just jump on him. Got to be able to think.
But Scott's an ice road trucker. Normally, he's looking across roads of perfectly flat ice.
Yeah, but it still needs protection.
Perfectly
We've
flat,
got to think. Remember, we're a small group.
I agree.
We're only a handful of people trying to figure out this lie that you've told us. Need to think. Go on, Solar.
Well, that's my quote
the
for
truth-
this year so far.
Well,
Jim
Veach.
Panda, the perfectly flat ice. I agree.
Yeah,
The truth
we can
is- the
describe
truth
it
is-
as flat. Of course we can. Of course we can
Go
describe
ahead,
it.
go ahead,
that way.
Beach.
The truth is, Solar, here's the real fundamental problem, is that there are rules to perspective, okay? Perspective works in a certain kind of way, and we all know what these rules are, and the problem with the situation is that these rules would dictate that a mountain should look different than it does in real life. We should be able to see the bottom because the bottom is bigger than the top, and the bottom is closer. He's right about both those points, and more importantly, the height of the mountain, where you actually can see the relative height of it, it's too low. It's much lower than it should be. And why is that? I mean, we know how fast it'll shrink from angular resolution, and we can calculate where the height should be, and yet it'll be lower than that height. Why do you think that is?
Want to ask the same question we've just asked him?
Okay, but that's only on terrestrial mountains when you're in very close proximity, because we've already got multiple demonstrations of distance sightings. Even that 273 mile that I posted earlier proves that according to the mathematics, you shouldn't see any of the mountain, let alone the base or the summit.
That's not true.
Effectively, that single image from that distance, from that known observer height, demolishes what you guys are claiming.
Why is that not true?
That's not true. That image was taken at 2,000 meters elevation.
Correct. Do the maths. Go put in that altitude and go put in that distance, and it still doesn't concord. You wouldn't see any of that mountain.
I don't
This is the
believe that
beautiful
is
thing.
True.
Is that, like you just said, we would expect to see it differently, but yet we do see it this way.
If the Earth
and
was
this is
flat,
the point we're trying to.
I'm saying no. What I said was, let's be clear about what I said. If we were just looking at angular resolution as the source of what's going on, we should expect it to see a certain way. And yet, in reality, we see that it's lower than that. So now we have to come up with what is the reality causing it to be lower. The answer is going to turn out to be it's lower because of the curve of the Earth.
But never dropped sufficiently to be completely obstructed by the curve of the Earth.
You get his point.
Supposed to be the said curve.
He's saying that none of the mountains
the Black
should
Swan
be seen.
disproved.
No, it is a bit sometimes completely obstructive. Of course it is.
And
You
the Black
cannot.
Swan disproved the radius. So
No,
we've already
the
disproven
Black
the
Swan
radius.
is an example of refraction. It's not that hard.
Black Swan.
It's already disproven the radius. So
No, it's
flat
just,
and motionless Earth.
it's just refraction going on there.
Oh, Veach, come on, that's not refraction.
Refraction is in regard to the horizon. It is never used in regard to where the horizon is placed.
Fucking bullshit.
What
You
does that
don't know
even
what the
mean?
fuck you're
Even
talking
in its own definition, it says it.
No, but that's what you're saying is not really relevant. The light is refracting, which is causing something to loom, which is why we can see something that we normally wouldn't.
With respect to the horizon. So this is why we chose. This is why we chose this observation, and to
How does that
use
help you,
the
though?
horizon and to use.
But how does that
the
help you?
horizon.
How does that help you? How does that
He's
help you?
making the
Because
argument
it's
that the
disproved
water
the
shouldn't
radius.
loom.
Wait, say it again. Say it again.
He's making the argument that the water shouldn't loom, and therefore
Well,
the
the water can loom. Yeah, the water can loom. Everything can loom. Anything that has light, any light that's traveling can bend. And if that light bends down and then enters your eye, it will loom. Doesn't matter whether it's from
respect to
water
the
or
horizon,
anything.
Veach,
It's
is
got
what he's
nothing to
saying.
do.
No,
It's
it'll
got
raise the
nothing to do with
horizon's
looming
level
of
if it's the light off the horizon.
Your microphone is
horizon
awful. I don't
is
know if you're
behind.
talking too close to it or if it's popping. But
Yeah, I may be too close. Let me try this. But the any light at all, it doesn't matter where the light bounced off of. If it could bounce off the horizon or something else, any light at all could bend down, and if it bends down and enters your eye, it will cause the object to be loomed.
No, what's beautiful is that the horizon is the apparent location where the sky appears to meet the ground. I know I said appears twice, and that's redundant.
That's
but
cool.
I'm trying to make a point here. So it is an apparent location.
Okay.
And that apparent location is often seen far exceeding what is expected based on the known physics of a radius of 3959. So
When
this
that
has been
happens, when that happens, it's because the light that is the making up the horizon, the light in which that's bouncing off the water, that's going to end up being the furthest light on the water that we can see, that's being loomed. And when that's loomed, it makes the horizon appear to be further out than it normally would.
It's not about bouncing light. It's about the apparent location where the sky and the ground are meeting. So it's
That's
not
how things are
about
apparent.
bouncing off of an object.
Well, nothing
I
is
agree
apparent.
that all light is penetrating the eye. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
But
nothing
it
is
is the
apparent unless
apparent
it's
location.
light bouncing off of it.
And
Like
this
apparent
is why
means
it's such a
seeable.
killer. But this is why it's such a killer, because even your refraction definition is with regard to the horizon. And that's why we use the horizon as the point of observation. And then you guys try to bring the focal point back to the actual.
Solar, can I respond, Solar? The
I'm
horizon
just
itself.
in the middle of a sentence. Let me just finish my
Yeah,
sentence.
I know,
you
but
guys
this is your
try
third
and bring
point
it
now.
to the refraction
Exactly,
of the
Veach.
actual
Third or fourth point. So after this, can
stations.
you let like another baller jump on him?
No, I'm saying it's his third point within this one
They're all
speech. that I'm not
afraid
yet
of
gonna refund any
you.
of them.
They're
Hey,
afraid.
Chemo, just hold, just stop gatekeeping and just hush. Go ahead.
Go on, go on.
So when we talk about an object refracting, yes, we're all in agreement. And that's why we chose not to fixate on an object and why we chose to use the indistinguishable apparent location where the sky and the water appear to meet.
Okay. So another,
and that
okay.
far
Oh
exceeds
my
by more
God.
than 10 times.
Solar,
By
you
more
got
than
you
10
got to
times.
Solar. You got to be
At-
fair there. You got to let them respond still.
Okay, so
Okay,
let me just
all right.
make a response and then I'll be done talking. Meets the earth or the soul of the water. All that is a point on the water furthest that you can see. It's the last thing you can see that's on the water. That last line of water that you can see, that's the horizon, because you don't see any water beyond it. And then, so if you look beyond that, what you see is air. That's the horizon, the apparent horizon. Now, wherever that last line of water is, it could be close to you, it could be far, wherever that appears to be, that's what we call the horizon. Now, that line can shift because of refraction. And it does it the same way any object does. The water is just an object. So if the light bouncing off the farthest point that we're going to end up seeing eventually ends up bending down into your eyes, well, it will bring that water, that line of water, it'll bring it up. We'll see it. It'll be the last water we see, and that suddenly becomes our apparent horizon.
Are you happy with that, Solar?
So I agreed with everything, probably 75% of that. I agree that there are optical conditions that can cause the water to appear higher or nearer to the observer. But I don't know of any conditions that could cause the horizon to appear behind objects that should be well beyond where that visual location should be. So
nonsense.
In terms of obstructing you further and nearer, I agree 100%. You can have very humid conditions, you can have fog and mist, you can have all these things that obstruct your view nearer, but there is very little conditions, or if any, and even Fata Morgana and superior or inferior miraging, that is not pushing the horizon further away from you at any time. And a visual observation height from 1 foot would leave the horizon at 1.22 miles. And those platforms are further than 9 miles, and the horizon was beyond that. So we know it's more than 10 times off. And when we talk about refraction, it's usually a percentile, like maybe 15%. It's never 10,000% to move something that significant distance away, or 1,000% even, or even 1,000%. But the crux of the matter is what in your mind could push a horizon out more than 10 times.
Well, there's no way that fucking image is at a 1 foot observer height. It's fucking obvious that it's not.
It's taken
Just
from a
looking at it, you
video,
can-
and the video shows the guy put the camera virtually on water level. Then he zooms out and zooms in, and they took a single still from that video.
Andy.
What?
The height is not clear. It's been heavily disputed. It isn't obvious what height it's taken from.
So make it 2
and
feet then.
The 1 foot has also been described as 5 feet in the past. But regardless of that, all your claims about the horizon shouldn't move are just bollocks. It can and it does, and that's obvious.
Closer, yes, I agree. And what do you think makes it move further?
Looming.
So on a
Looming.
perfectly crystal clear day.
Looming.
Look, if looming can
would
lift,
raise
look, looming can raise. Let's say looming can raise a ship up from beyond the horizon, right?
That's a superior mirage.
In our, we would claim that is true. You would agree with that?
No, because it would be inverted. If it's a superior mirage and it's sitting above the horizon,
okay,
it would be inverted.
Okay, looming causes ships to rise up without them being upside down. That's bollocks that you just made up.
Or the apparent position of the water
my
level
point is,
has been suppressed downwards.
My point is, it can
there's
move.
An optical phenomena.
My point is,
will you make a point, please?
Oh no, please. My point is, if it can raise up an object, i.e., a ship, and make that appear higher than it actually is, it can do exactly the same thing with the water surrounding the ship. It doesn't leave the water behind.
So that was the exact point I was making on a highway, when you get that like shimmering effect and the road appears to drop and it seems like the car is now floating in midair. It's a similar effect on water, where the water level has actually been distorted so that it appears like that ship is now floating. But if you were to go to that point, the ship would stay where it is and the water would come into view.
My point is,
the area that's occluded.
My point is,
they've done that with like little tiny boats. They've done this experiment on a much smaller scale even.
My point is, well, that's also not true. But my point is that if you have something that would normally be beyond the horizon, and because of looming is revealed, then that thing could be a ship, but it could also just be water. And the effect of that would be that the horizon would appear to be further away. Because where the horizon was, where the sky met the water, now you've got water.
Yep.
Solar, you still here?
Yeah, I'm posting something that shows my point that I was trying to make about how.
So you just totally ignored everything.
We know that miraging happens. We admit that miraging happens. We know that refraction happens. What we're saying is that it can also cause things to become higher or appear higher on the horizon than they should be. And you're just fucking denying
But they're not actually higher. They're remaining where they are.
Yeah, we realize that.
Yes, we know that. We know that, but they appear to be, don't they? And those things that appear to be higher, they could be ships, they could be water.
Yeah. And if it's water, it changes with the horizon and extends it further out.
They're on the level, and the crux that I was asking
it's
you is
like
what
I'm just not
optical
speaking.
phenomenon? What optical phenomenon pushes the horizon
looming.
Further away?
Looming
pushes the horizon down and closer towards you to make the object appear to float.
No, it
That's
doesn't.
incorrect. That's incorrect.
Okay, so look at the picture I've just posted, and as you get closer to the ground,
that's not an example of looming.
Like
that's miraging. That's not the same thing as looming. Looming and miraging are not the same thing.
From the original video, there's a cyclist, and he's cycling down this bridge. And
Solar.
And as the guy goes down,
you're not showing us looming.
He shows the cyclist. The cyclist appears
Just
to loom.
care.
The cyclist.
This is why Flat Earth doesn't get respect. Is because you're not actually engaging.
Yeah.
You're not. This is not looming.
Okay,
Solar. We want to talk about looming.
Yeah, so you guys say looming is like it's floating above the horizon.
No.
We don't say that.
What is your definition of looming?
Looming is when an object appears to be higher than it actually is because the light that bounced off it and reaches your eye has been curved downward, refracted downward.
Scott, can I say that's an inadequate explanation?
Inadequate? What do you mean?
I mean, you can say it, but you'd be wrong.
Because why have you just limited it to an object? Everything in that scene is loomed, not just object.
I'll tell you, but everything in that scene is an object, including the water.
It's raining upwards.
That's not looming, Solar.
He didn't say you were wrong, V. He said it's inadequate. Difference.
Can't have that. It's raining upwards.
So when you talk about a boat being loomed upwards
That's
over
not
the
looming.
horizon,
That image of the sailboat is not looming. That's
And
miraging. They're two fucking different things.
When we talk about looming, that is caused by an atmospheric event that is happening somewhere in our line of view. And everything behind that, the surface of the water, the boats that are floating on the water, the sky, all those things, we see them because the information is carried by light that has to go through that atmospheric condition that is in our line of sight. Therefore, everything in our line of sight is affected by the same atmospheric condition. It's not split down into a water surface, an object on the water surface, and the sky. It's everything in the field of view will be affected by the illuming.
All right. Thank you for that correction.
These pictures that people show of just the object can be misleading, but everything is being shifted by the same atmospheric effect.
Okay. I would say it's hard to then have a defined reference as to how much it's loomed by, because even if you went back and did multiple observations from the same location, you're going to get such varied results.
Yeah.
So sometimes it'll be looming, sometimes it won't.
Correct.
Sometimes
Absolutely.
sometimes it's a crystal clear day, and your visibility is considered the utmost. If you look on an average day, your visibility is often set at 16 kilometers, whereas your imaginary horizon should be at 3 miles.
Well, when they say your visibility is that far,
where
they
the
aren't
horizon-
saying that you can see the surface at that distance.
Well, what do you think visible? So I'm a ground dwelling
A plane,
creature.
for example.
Okay,
A plane,
so
for example.
for like on any weather app, when it says visibility, it means on the odd occasion that I would get in a plane on that day. No,
Well, no,
I
just-
wouldn't see for
it just
16
means-
kilometers on a
Nope,
plane.
it just means how
What
far
if you're
you
looking
see
at a
on the
mountain?
ground.
On the
16
ground,
kilometers.
looking at a mountain.
Yeah, or on a high elevation looking. So it just tells you how far through the atmosphere you can see.
Right.
It's
From
nothing to
ground
do with
level.
the horizon.
It doesn't say that you will always have the opportunity to be able to see that far.
It's
No, I didn't say
Sometimes you
that.
might be inside, for
I said
instance.
on a crystal clear day when you have the maximum visibility,
Oh, he's saying
that would be
even
where
on-
your
Right.
geometric horizon
Yeah.
should be.
No,
No,
the
that's not what
crystal
it says.
clear
That's not
day-
what it says.
No, it wouldn't.
The
No.
crystal clear day has no descriptive power and there's no information in those words whatsoever. A crystal clear day is no kind of qualifier in this respect.
And
The
it's not talking
atmospheric
about the horizon.
The
It's
atmospheric conditions that cause the effects we're talking about are when things are exceptionally still and cover a large area. That is not the same as calling a crystal clear day. It's a very vague and inapplicable description.
But even if we are
So-
okay with crystal clear, it's not talking about when it says 16 kilometers. You'll not find it saying this is where the horizon is. It will not say that. It's not saying that.
No, it'll say visibility, and it'll mean that if I'm here on the ground and I'm an average citizen and I've got an app that tells me my weather, I'll be able to see 16 kilometers.
It
of
refers
clear
to
air.
observation at altitude, and it's helpful to pilots.
And basically, what it says is, as long as there's nothing
altitude,
between,
16
they're saying
kilometers
solar,
would be
solar,
irrelevant.
solar. What they're
No,
saying is, what
at
they're saying
altitude,
is,
16 kilometers is irrelevant.
okay,
No,
okay,
it's
I heard
not.
you, but
It's
solar,
exactly
solar,
what it's
solar.
for.
Let me
You're
just
going
make
to
one
see
point.
hundreds of kilometers at altitude,
No,
guys.
no, you're not.
Or-
That's why they
or
tell you
tens of
visibility.
kilometers at least.
Guys, let me
That
just
is
make one point.
wrong. They
Well, they're
tell
in the
you
middle of something,
visibility
Veach.
for
Hold on,
exactly
let
that
them
reason.
speak.
You will not see for hundreds of kilometers.
Can I just make one point, guys? Just real quick. Obviously, there's an implied assumption there that there's nothing between you and the thing you're looking at, right? Like Jim said, if you're indoors, it doesn't matter that it says 16 kilometers, the wall gets in the way, right? Same thing happens with the curve of the earth. If you have something in the way of something, you're not going to see it no matter what they said the visibility is. There's nothing about visibility that tells you that you're going to see unobstructed anything.
So if I'm a 6-foot observer and my horizon must be no further than 3 miles or 5 kilometers, it would make sense to have an app.
But
tells
are
me I've
those the
got a view
parameters of the
visible height
visibility
of
measurement?
16
No, they're
kilometers.
But Solar,
Yeah.
this visibility measurement that you're getting, where are you getting it from? And are these the parameters of it? Are they saying this is your visibility if you're at 6 feet? Because that's something you seem to be adding into it as a condition of it. So where is this visibility? What is the source of this visibility measurement for a start?
So how would it make any sense? Okay, I hear your point. I do. I hear your
because
point.
a mountain might be 100 miles away, and you don't see at the bottom of it, but you can see the top of it because visibility allows you to.
Right.
It's the same sort of concept like when you're in water and you've either got a good visibility and it's quite a clear
You understand?
water.
What visibility means, dude?
All right. So
what is the source of this visibility measurement?
If you had a vehicle that had a top speed of 100, what benefit would it be to describe?
I just told you
when it gets to 200.
It wouldn't be any benefit. What is the source of this visibility measurement? Who is telling you you have a visibility of 16 kilometers?
My weather app.
Your weather app.
I think
and what are the parameters?
Generic Apple weather app.
Okay, and what is the parameters of that? Because you're saying this is how far this app says I can see if I'm at 6 feet, and I don't believe the app says that. I think you've added that in yourself.
All right. So the point I'm trying to make is that if the horizon was at 5 kilometers,
I've already answered this.
Purpose would you need?
I've told you.
Visibility at multiples
if a mountain
of
is
that.
if a mountain is 16 kilometers away, even though the horizon is at 5 kilometers, you won't see the bottom of the mountain, but the top of it will be high enough that you still could see that if your visibility allows. So your visibility will tell you, yes, you'll be able to see the top of that mountain despite the bottom being obstructed by the curve of the earth. That's the situation in which this makes sense to say 16 kilometers visibility, even when the horizon is 5 kilometers away.
Yes, and when that mountain is 273 miles away and there's no obstruction from any supposed curvature, which should be obstructing the entire mountain, then the visibility being 16 kilometers or 273 miles on that specific day suddenly becomes a little bit of a problem with the mathematics that we give it.
The problem is, hang on, let me answer this. The problem is for you, because you say there's no obstruction whatsoever. That's more bullshit. We can see the top 1,000 feet of a 12,000 foot mountain in the CANAL observations. So to say there's no obstruction whatsoever is complete and utter nonsense. Almost all of the mountain is completely obstructed by the Mediterranean fucking Sea. There's a whole range of mountains and 2 entire towns in front of that mountain that are completely invisible to us. All we see is ocean.
Well, so that's why the long distance image was not to those towns, but to the mountain, which was tall enough.
They're directly in front of that mountain.
And it's
you
not
would see them,
like you say.
Fucking cherry picking.
It absolutely is, and I can prove it. It absolutely is. It's obstructed. I made a video on this, dude, so I know it very, very well. And it's obstructed. It's a 12,000 foot mountain, and 11,000 feet of it are obstructed. You can see this very easily in photographs taken from closer to it. You can line them up. I've done this in my video, and you can see how much of it you can see.
And you shouldn't see any of it. And you shouldn't see
true.
any of it.
That's true. That's true. However, there's
seeing
refraction.
Any part of it.
There's refraction.
Is the inconvenient truth.
Well, the inconvenient truth is 11,000 feet of it are completely invisible to us. And you claim the earth is flat. There should be nothing in between us and the 11,000 foot of mountain. And yet we can't see it at all. All we see is ocean. So what's your inconvenient truth of an explanation for that?
It's the same optical phenomenon when you're in a passageway and the floor appears to rise up to your eye level. It's the same optical phenomenon we experience on the Earth.
Why do we see the top of the mountain then? So why are we seeing the top of the mountain then? So why are we seeing the top of the mountain then? Why is that left out of this observation?
It's actually there. The top of the mountain is actually there. You're observing it. And if you're observing it from that distance, then there isn't curvature the way that we're told that there is.
So where is the 11? Why, if there's no curvature, why can't I see straight? Why can't I just see the whole mountain?
Because of angular resolution limits, because how things shrink as they move into the distance, because of the way that the floor ramps up.
You're just
towards
making
the eye
shit
level.
up.
No.
So
these are all the
when you
compounding
say,
effects
so
that
when you
cause
say
this
that,
optical phenomenon.
so when you say that the Earth is observably flat, that's a complete lie, then, because you would never
No,
be able
it's
to.
observably.
Well, how? How? According to you, if it's flat, if there's a building some distance away from me, that building can be completely obstructed by the stuff in front of me, and yet the Earth's flat. So how are you able to say the Earth is observably flat? Because that is nothing about that would tell you that the Earth was flat. It would tell you that the Earth was sloping up, if anything.
Well, it's the optical phenomenon that's occurring inside the shape of the lens of your eye, and that
makes mountains appear to be ocean, does it? Because
No,
my eye is
it's
spherical,
first-person
so
view,
rocks
and
turn into ocean.
But you're trying to look at life like it's an orthographic view from the side, where the ground would be completely flat. Or
Your
generally
arguments
flat.
for a flat Earth are always we can see too far. This is an observation that you presented. An example of us seeing too far, and yet you're telling me that when you say we can see too far, we can't actually see most of it because of some optical effect going on in our eyes. Well, that's right. That's what you've just said, isn't it? You say we see too far, but actually we don't see it. It's there, but we're not seeing it.
You saw the mountain, right? And you agree that we
So the
shouldn't
very,
see
very
any part
top,
of it?
I saw the top 1,000 feet of a 12,000-foot mountain.
It's difficult to discern how many feet
It's
you're actually
not.
seeing.
No, it's not.
But
No,
the
it's
fact
not.
is
If you look properly, you haven't looked properly, Solar.
any.
I spent the time to look. I got photos taken closer to the mountain. I lined them up so I could see how much of it I'm actually seeing. So it's not difficult to tell. It's fairly easy to tell. It takes a bit of time, but you can do it.
We're not seeing it, but we're claiming that we are. But I'm telling you that picture shows you the mountain, which should not be seen.
It shows me the top one.
Right.
I'm telling you that picture shows you the top 1,000 feet of that mountain. And if you try and claim anything else, you're lying.
Well, I wouldn't be that silly to try and claim how many feet.
Right.
Is
well, you tell me how
visible.
many feet of it are we seeing? It's a 12,000-foot mountain. How much of it are we seeing?
How many feet should we see, Jim?
We shouldn't see any of it.
Okay, so 0. All right. So if we're at 1,000,
So how many feet are we seeing?
Which one's closer to 0?
Hold on. I've asked you a question. I've asked you a question. In response, you've asked me 2 questions. So I'd like an answer to my question. How much of it are we seeing?
Like I said, it would be foolish to assume unless there was some demarcation.
Are we seeing all of it?
Should we see any of it?
Are we seeing all of it?
And I think that's a great angle that you've taken in terms of if it was flat, we would see everything of everything always from all points.
I haven't said that. I do say in a situation where we can see the top of a mountain, we would see the bottom of the mountain if the Earth was flat. I do say that. I don't say we should see everything always. You made that up. Now then, how much of this mountain do you think we're seeing?
A significant enough amount to call into question the idea that we
I
shouldn't
want a
see
number.
any of it.
The answer to this question is a number, okay? How much of this mountain do you think we're seeing? It's a 12,000-foot mountain. How much of it are we seeing?
I would say at least a third. But
so you're saying
that would be an estimated guess.
Okay, so we'll go with that. How
much?
So you're saying that 8,000 feet of it, you're saying that 8,000 feet of it is completely concealed from us and actually appears to be the Mediterranean Sea. And this is because our eyes are spherical. This is what you're saying.
I'm saying we shouldn't see any of it.
Look,
we see
Solar,
significant enough portion.
Solar, for the 5th time, okay? For the 5th time, we shouldn't see any of it. It should all be below the horizon. Due to refraction, it's loomed up and we can see the top 1,000 feet of it. Okay, but let me repeat, we shouldn't see any of it. So you do not need to repeat that again. I know it. I've accepted it. I've repeated it back to you 4 times, 5 times. You don't need to keep repeating that, okay? That's a thing we've agreed on. So that you do not advance your argument by repeating something that we're agreed on.
Great.
Okay.
No, that's great.
So, where's the missing 8,000 feet, Solar?
I cannot account for that.
Right. I can. I'll link you to my video. You can see it. I linked you. I sent you a link earlier as well to Mike Kavanagh admitting that those photographs aren't of their lasers actually hitting targets at distances.
So, like I said, there are many compounding reasons as to why things become obstructed from the bottom upwards, especially when you're closest to the point of obstruction, which would be the land. I have acknowledged that countless times. The point I'm making is that when you see even the tip of a mountain that you shouldn't see, that should call into question, you've solved it by saying it's naturally loomed. It's loomed into a position perfectly on the horizon.
They can only get these photographs on 2 days of the year, and only when they get the right conditions. The first one they got that was impressive in any way, it took them 9 years to get it.
Okay, but
This is all on their website if you go and read it.
This isn't a standard view.
I was mistaken. Where I was mistaken earlier was that looming was not one aspect of the photo being changed. It was relative to the entire image. The water, the boat, the entire image would have to be loomed. So if something is invisible and it's behind the curvature, and then there was looming partaking in that image, they would not suddenly miraculously jump significantly higher than the rest of the image to then be placed at exactly the point that they are obviously and observably shown to be. So if that looming definition that I was told earlier is the application to the entire image or the entire field of view that is being loomed, and not simply just the boat in reference to the horizon or just the mountain in reference to the horizon, then it needs to hold true on your side too.
And it does. Nothing says that because the mountain is identified as an object that's 12,000 feet high, that therefore the entire mountain has to loom.
But that's
the entire mountain has to be visible on a flat Earth. It doesn't have to be visible on a globe under any circumstances. Another thing you can see in that image as well, because the image we see that you guys usually use for this is actually cropped from a larger image. And when you look at the larger image, you can see the mountains in the foreground that are much, much closer to where the photograph is taken from. And we know the heights of those mountains, and we know the heights of the mountains in the background. So we can measure from that where the horizon should appear to be if it was a flat Earth. And again, we can see that the horizon is shifted. It's curved down.
Because
you know, when you guys say the horizon always rises to eye level, in this picture, it's measurably not at eye level. That's in my video as well. I'll show you my video. It's not a long piece.
Look, my point was that we've disproven the radius, and therefore when we see objects in the distance at distances...
You think you've disproven it with a load of bogus evidence, don't you? That's what you're saying.
Black Swan, it's slam dunk. It's a modus tollens.
It's really
if
not.
P, then, if not P, then not Q.
Modus tollens, oh no! Oh no, modus tollens. That makes it all different. That changes it.
It's a sound.
It's no longer a we see too far claim. That makes it something more special when you do that.
No, it's logically sound, and it's not fallacious reasoning like a lot of us tend to fall into.
It is. Well, it is totally is fallacious.
Modus tollens is not. When you
The
look
argument
into
itself is the first premise is incorrect.
if the Earth was a ball with a radius of 3959.
Yeah.
No, that's P. So if the Earth was a ball, then the horizon would be at an observer height of 1
Right,
foot.
that's the first. That's
would not
the first
be further
claim.
than 1.22.
And that's not true. That first claim of where the horizon would be is incorrect.
That is true. Go look at your Walter Bislin calculator.
It ignored.
Go see what
I will do. I will do. And the Walter Bislin calculator takes account of refraction. That claim does not take account of refraction.
Yeah.
It completely ignores refraction and pretends there is no refraction.
And it's a percentage. It's like 14% for refraction.
However,
so it's a small,
however, that first claim ignores refraction entirely, doesn't it? Doesn't say we can add 14% onto this because of refraction, does it? It completely ignores it. Right?
You're right.
Yeah.
It does.
So that first premise is incorrect, right?
You're quite sharp, eh, Jim?
I know these arguments very, very, very well.
That is a good point, because I know that we say that it cannot be further than. Like I said, with optical illusions, we tend to have the horizon pull closer and not generally further. But there is that gray area of refraction, and any observable phenomenon must take into account refraction. And even Walter Bislin's calculator, it's using a number, so then it says refraction tick. But on some days, refraction can be significantly higher than a 10, 15%, Sometimes there can be really wacky shit going on.
Like in the Black Swan picture.
Not with reference to horizon.
Yeah.
What I mean is
the Black Swan picture is not a black swan because it is extremely rare. It does not prove the normal conditions. It proves the rare conditions.
Now, but this is the thing that is always confused me, is that when it's less refraction, we can see further.
No,
that's obvious.
No.
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because
you
when
cannot say
refraction
that.
starts, refraction is a divergence of the light beams.
No,
so the further
it's
away,
not. No, it's not. When are you going to stop being incorrect about the things that we say about the world?
So you think that refraction is not diverging the path of the light?
Correct.
Correct.
You think it's converging the light?
No. Why don't you fucking ask us?
This is what I'm doing. I'm asking.
No, you're not.
You think
you're disingenuously engaging us in some competition to be a smart ass.
It's not. It really is not. And I'm sure you've heard that I am
when you provide
intellectually honest enough to concede on points.
No, you're not. You're just not.
Well, he did just do that, to be fair. I mean, I have to say, Bizarre, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, but he is one of the better guys. He's
one of the least worst. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll take that.
Instead of asking, so it's this, ask, so what is it then? What is diffraction? What is refraction? Don't provide what you think the alternative is. Ask what it is, not what it isn't.
But this is the crux, is that, it's almost like the semantics of something, where we can be using the same word, but we can often interpret that word slightly differently. So when light is being refracted or being distorted or being bent, I would look at that as either converging or diverging from the source or the origin point. But if you guys say it's neither diverging nor converging,
that's not the right way to think about it.
Yeah, you're just showing your limitations. So how on earth can you engage with us with those limitations?
I don't see how those are limitations. It's effectively saying that it can turn left or right, and you're saying no, it can't do either, but it is doing both.
Yeah, that's right. It could do so much more. This is the problem. You don't understand what the possibilities are. You don't know the subject. You don't know the limits and the extremes and the bounds of which we're talking in.
Well, I have been studying this for a long time, so I would consider myself.
Really? Well, it doesn't show.
Okay, so explain to me, how is the light being distorted through refraction that causes horizons to appear 10 times further than they should be?
There is a factor of refraction of the field of view above the surface. Say it's a water. Say it's a view over a body of water. The refraction causes a consistent angular deflection in one dimension up to a certain vertical field of view. That's the best I can do off the top of my head.
And you don't think an angular deflection is a convergence or a divergence?
I don't. No, because there is no divergence. Every light ray is bent by the same degree and there is no change in the distance between those light rays during the refraction. Why is that so difficult for you to understand?
We're talking about the same thing, but you're not wanting to use the words that I used, but it's fine. Anyway.
Sorry, I assume that from a point distance source, all light rays are diverging. Is that what you're getting at?
That's it. That effectively, all the point I was trying to make is that, and then once they're distorted through the refraction, they could be further diverging or further converging. It's like what a lens does when it creates a new focal point. You are converging the light rays or diverging.
It is not like a lens, because lenses infer an aspect of two-dimensional refraction. We are talking about single-dimension refraction.
Go with us,
Question for Solar.
Yeah.
Solar?
Yeah.
Do you know the difference between a radian and a degree?
A radian and a degree.
Yes. Do you know the difference between those two?
I would say a radian is coming from a central point in all directions, whereas a degree is normally planar. But I don't know. Tell me.
I cordially invite you to go look it up and find out, because it's usually a hedging problem with those who engage with discussions about angular resolution.
Well, I think you should enlighten us since you've introduced it.
People want to know what you want about.
Himself.
There's a lot of people listening. You know what I mean?
Blackfowler just hung himself there with his own ignorance has just defeated him.
Yeah, but why won't he tell you what the difference
you
is?
ignorant twat.
Why ask him and then not say the answer?
Can I take up per platter Solar here for a moment?
Well, is he going to explain the difference between the degree
when it comes to
and
radiance? Chemo, you know I was talking. Did I not start before you tell me the truth?
Yeah, but I'm saying I thought you would have facilitated. I thought you would have facilitated the answer of what the difference is.
I asked if I could take up per platter Solar for a minute, and then I began to do so. So
go ahead, Go ahead. I think we might get there, Chemo. I think we might.
So real quick, when it comes to radians, I have a vague idea. I think there's 400 radians in a circle. I'm not sure about that. I'm confused. There's some relationship with pi, but I'm not clear on it. And I don't work in radians. But god damn it, I can work with degrees all fucking day long. I can beat Flat Earth Solar upside the head with this, and a lot of the ballers. I got to correct on shit. People that are smarter than me, much smarter than me on the shit. You don't need to know radians. I think it's an irrelevant question, is the bottom line of my point. That's all I'm trying to say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm looking at the definition now. It says 1 radian is equal to 180 divided by pi degrees. Thus, to convert from radians to degrees, you need to multiply by 180 divided by pi.
But the point was, like, you didn't
So
even know it was a
what-
unit of measurement. You didn't even know it was a unit of angular measurement.
Yeah, worse
But
than that,
what-
he had to make up some bullshit. He just couldn't be honest and say, I don't know, please tell me. No, you had to fudge it, didn't you?
But
We
what
don't
was I
do that
talking
work.
about that had relevance? Like Curve said, how does radians have relevance to what we were talking about?
All right, maybe you were tricked, maybe you were fooled, but
Because if I was talking in degrees, and like generally I would work in degrees and not radians, I don't see what bearing that would have on our discussion about mountains and
well, I know
seeing
you
things
don't.
too far.
And that's why a couple of times I tried to correct you, and you kept referring to refraction as a percentage of something. It's not. It's a factor.
Hey, Bizarre, can you stop fucking attacking this guy?
And it's important that you realise when a factor and a percentage are which is applicable and why they're applicable.
So geometric refraction is considered 7/6R.
And that's a
No.
factor. That's
No.
a factor.
No.
Okay, so it would
No.
be a certain percentage
But
larger.
wait, no, that's not geometric refraction.
Well,
What are you
that's
talking
standard
about?
refraction, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is what applies
Standard
in what is
geometric
defined as
refraction.
standard. Hey, Flat Earth, let other people talk too. It applies to what is defined as standard atmosphere. That's it. It's a rule of thumb that's used, but that's what it applies to where it comes from. Understand that.
Okay, so when you were saying that it's not in a proportion or in a relation to, then I was saying 7/6R is a proportion. It is a relation to. And then that's presuming that we know the radius. And then with the certain evidences that suggest that we see a little bit further than the radius would dictate that we should, that's where this starts to get interesting. But you have to do the measurements yourself. You have to go find a place around you. You have to go find a city that you know that's maybe 20 miles or 30 miles. And when you're at a certain point in your city, you can see that city, and it just starts to get the mind ticking over. And you go and look at the altitudes of what you saw. You start doing your own investigation, and you'll see a lot more times than not, we are seeing distances that we shouldn't be seeing.
Or you could use frequencies that don't suffer from so much atmospheric refraction.
Like
But
infrared,
what is
yeah,
the basis
IR.
for shouldn't be seeing?
Yeah. Where does the shouldn't be come from?
From a
Posted something in
geometric
the chat on that
horizon
topic.
that should fall away from you in all directions.
That's okay. But on an Earth that is a sphere, geometry notwithstanding, it has atmosphere, and that affects what you can see. So why is it again that we shouldn't be able to see what the atmospheric refraction allows us to see?
Because then they use like infrared cameras like Jay Tolan Media, where he can then
I'm
see,
going to get something to
okay,
eat.
I'm not sticking with his mountain distances
Yeah,
that he
Kurt,
claims.
we'll let you know if he actually answers your question.
I'm not dealing
But I'm
with
saying
this.
you can use certain technologies that can look through a lot of that optical interference.
Yeah, and those IR ones are not them.
Posted something in the chat on that topic too.
Now, would you agree that the atmosphere could act like a lens of some sort, which would cause the sun to be focused almost like a point source, like it kind of like a magnifying glass the lens will focus the light to a point, a certain area on the ground, instead of lighting up a huge amount.
No.
You could.
No.
Nice one, Bizarre.
So let's say if the
this has been asked and answered before as well. I'm just so pissed off with this coming over and over again. No, the atmosphere cannot, in any circumstances, act like a magnifying lens.
Well, not like a
Atmospheric
mag. I mean,
lensing,
let's just say
lensing is a thing.
Yeah, let's just say a lens itself. Remember the aero optics professor of Notre Dame when he was on the news talking about the atmosphere acts like a lens and how it causes looming due to the lens, the atmosphere. Remember the guy asked him, so it really does act like a lens, and he said yes.
Quite well, and the video you're talking about, I remember quite well. He was using a really colloquial explanation to try and give really layman's terms.
Yeah, so in other words, yes, it does act like a lens.
The reason it
so
can't
the
be a
aero
lens,
optics.
can I just finish my point? Thank you.
Go ahead.
The reason I kind of reject the lensy hypothesis is a lens requires a focal point. And therefore, what I saw and what someone 5 feet from me would see would be very different.
No, because if you know,
we don't observe that, and that's the problems with a lens. A lens requires a focal point.
Okay, so if we think about, I mean, I don't have a dictionary in front of me, but the definition of a lens, I believe, is any clear substance with a round or curved surface which causes concentration, right, of the light.
Concave or convex.
So it can scatter. Now it says glass or any clear substance. Y'all can look that up. I'm pretty sure it says that. So that would mean, hold on. I'm not quite done, please. So what I'm trying to say is if water molecules in the air, even on the smallest scale, I looked it up, even the molecules are like little convex, and this is what it even shows. They look like little GoPro lenses. So if they, on the smallest scale, could actually scatter light or cause concentration, then yeah, it seems like that they could actually cause looming, magnification, lifting, compress, a somewhat of what looks like compression, like what we see NASA presenting whenever they show the moon setting, how it lifts up into itself about 300 miles according to the size of what they say the moon is. So I think the university professor is right. I think it does act like a lens in some sort of way.